Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
How goes it, everybody? It has been a little bit of a whirlwind around here. Oh, by the way, you guys like my new Freeman hat? These are brand new, blue and brown. Anyway, Skane's Grill, good evening to you. Farm Ranch Homestead, hello. Prepper Actual, welcome.
Prepper,
yeah, that's like a tongue twister name. I always say that, though. Who else we got here? Hey, Matt says, I got off work just in time to start my vacation. Midwest Preparedness Project Spring Fest next week. Yes, and it's going to be a full fest, which is pretty cool. City Greens, welcome to you. Jean Mankey, hello. Welcome. I know, right? And the greatest name on the internet.
Half Bubble Off Plum.
Famous Eagle Lover Texas is in the house. Let's see here. Who else we got? You guys are chatty tonight. That's good. I like that. Sharpshooter, what's up, my bud? How's it going? Sharpshooter's a good buddy of mine who lives not too far from me. And they say they're trying to get some last minute things done. I'm assuming they're getting ready for the Preparedness Festival that starts just next week.
Monday, right?
Yep, Monday.
Tuesday.
Well, yeah, Tuesday mainly. Let's see who else we got. Terminator's in the house. How are you, Terminator? Nitos. Hey, how are you? I had a big conversation about you today. Everything's all good, I hope. What else we got here? Oh my goodness. Banquet of Consequences. Welcome. Yep, Kathy Garner. She asks how the weather is. I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight, but the weather is definitely been interesting and different than it's been the entire time I've lived in this part of the country. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been definitely interesting. Songs of Joy, good evening to you. Who else we got here? Oh, Louise Wesley's in the house. Yeah, they're super excited, as she says. They got their land survey today, which they might not sound like much to a lot of people, but what they've gone through to get to this point is significant, and it's a significant stepping point for them. I'm super proud of them, and I don't know how many of you guys know Jeff and Louise, but they're some of the finest people I know. Always willing to help, always willing to be involved, always willing to do their part, plus a little bit.
Plus a lot.
Yeah, plus
they do a lot.
Yeah, they do a lot.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, they do. Hilltop Home Place, good evening to you. Let's see here. Oh, Gypsy's in the house. We have royalty once again. One steps closer. How are you, my friend?
We should change his name to Scarface.
Yeah. Yeah, like he needs another nickname.
Right.
Right.
The man with 100 names.
Beth Emily, good evening. Bird's Eye View Homestead. There's another good one. Always willing to help.
Yes.
Good people. Yep. What else we got here? Kelly Ireland, good evening to you. My good buddy Mo's in the house. One of the smartest guys I know. Mary Michelle, welcome. Danny Green, welcome. Indiana Mike, ahoy to you as well. Stan Gunther's in the house. Good evening. The Baker. How's the Baker tonight? Carrie Davis, good evening. Make sure I don't miss nobody. Jules. Hey, Jules, I got a package for you, by the way. FYI. Gregory, good evening. Stan, good evening. Grateful Hearts, good evening. And the famous LJC is in the house, and I think I'm caught up.
Happy Friday.
Yes, and I'm glad it's Friday, too. I had a long, long week, and we've got a lot going on. Next week, the Midwest Preparedness Project coming up, and I've got a lot of visitors. So maybe we should talk about that.
A lot more visitors.
Yeah, a lot more visitors going on. So let's talk about that just a little bit. The Baker says baking. I would have never guessed. that. Well, I hope you're baking something good. I love to bake stuff.
I know who that picture is. The Baker. The Baker is married to Sharpshooter.
Oh,
That's
change your name,
picture.
You tricky little thing.
I'm pretty sure.
Bees apparently
baking bread, perhaps?
Yeah, perhaps.
Some of that sweet bread.
So next week, let's talk about next week real quick. So I've pretty much got Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to really get everything the way I want it, because starting Thursday, we have Lindsay Brandon coming down from Food Forest Abundance. She's their lead designer. And so they're going to be here. And then also this one of the leads of the sales team, his name is Graham, will be here.
And we're doing our walkthrough.
Yep. So we're going to do some site survey and stuff, walk around, and we'll have quite a few people here at that time too, because there's a lot of people in our community here who wants to have access to that kind of knowledge. And so there'll be a few of them there. We also have the combat midwife will be here. And she's going to come down because one for the festival, but she came down early so that her and Lindsay and Graham can talk about what is a girl garden and how do we plant the right plants and herbs and those kind of things to deal with the unique needs of a female that are different from that of a male. And so we're going to work on that a little bit. We'll also have Callie Blackwell and Jesse here. You guys remember her? I did an interview with her, the boy in 7 billion. She'll be down at the exact same time. And so that'll go on Thursday. And then Thursday night, we have a community dinner. This is non-Midwest preparedness related, but right. Thursday night we have a dinner. We have a restaurant that's going to open up just for us, and they do it all the time. And we're going to all get together and eat and have a good time. And again, this gives our community an opportunity to interact with these freedom warriors and people who are, masters of things like permaculture and, some of those things. So I think it's going to be pretty neat. Gizmo, welcome. Gizmo says, I got my state sanitary permit this week. It's been a long haul. Seems like a lot of it's a long haul, doesn't it?
When you have certain government agencies involved, it's
always
lot.
A long haul. I could write a book this week.
Ugh.
Yeah, Masio Perret, welcome. Good evening. TJ and Georgia says, hi, B. I got my shirt and hoodie. Love them. Replacement checks in the way. Hey, excellent.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Yep. Let me see here. Redneck says, evening, everyone. Good evening to you as well. And Bonnie, welcome to you as well. So anyways, we've got all that going on Thursday. Friday morning, we're gonna have to get up and get on it because we'll get out to the Preparedness Festival and hang out with all of my friends some that I see almost every day and some that I just see only at the at the festivals. And so that will be exciting. We have a freedom panel that I'm part of
on Friday.
Are there
other classes going on Friday, or is it just okay?
No, there's other ones going on. But the freedom panel is going to be cool because, like Callie Blackwell will be on that. And the combat midwife will be on that. And I think Lindsay Brandon will be on that. And so we're going to talk about freedom and those kind of things.
Then we can the crowd can ask questions and such too.
Yep. And so
it's not just you guys speaking, right?
No, it's actually it's only questions based.
Okay.
So we'll be sitting there just talking about, whatever the topic that the audience wants to talk about. And that'll go on for a while, amongst lots of other classes and other things that go on.
Do you know what time the events start on Friday?
I think the events start, I think, at 10
a.m.
But we'll go on at 1:30, I think, for the freedom panel, if I remember correct. And so we'll do that. And then Saturday, which is the biggest day, really of all, because we'll go out there. We'll be there all day. We don't stay out there anymore because of our farm. We come home every night. But so we'll go out there. We're going to attempt to do a live at 3:00 from the stage, which will replace our normal Friday live. So I'm going to say this a couple times during tonight, guys. We will not have a normal Friday live next week. We'll be doing it Saturday from the stage of the Midwest Preparedness Project, and we're going to give away 2 home solar generators that I got through Grid Down for it. One we're going to give to the audience sitting there in front of us, and then the next one we're going to give to somebody on the live. And we have found a comment generator that I can plug into my Streamware software.
A comment generator?
Yeah. So what it's going to do is it's going to scroll the comments, and it's going to pick somebody out of it that's going to win the generator.
Oh,
randomly. So the more you comment, the more chances there are to win.
There's going to be a computer out there where you can answer the questions just like normal?
Oh, yeah, just like normal. But this one's going to be even cooler because it'll be doing dual cameras the whole time. So we'll have a camera on us, and I'll bring people up on stage, and I'm hoping we get a chance for you guys to meet a lot of the rest of the community. We're going to tell the history of the community. We're going to talk about what community matters and why it even matters on there. And I'm hoping to be able to tie all of those things kind of together. So again, one camera will be on us, one camera will be on the audience. You guys will actually be able to see what's going on.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. And someone's going to get a cool generator out of the deal on both fronts, which is also, really, really cool.
And it's the same generator that we have that we use here
as a backup
for certain things.
Yeah. Hey, American Roots Farm is in the house. How are you, Justin Joe? And I'm assuming Marsha, Marshall, and Marshall, right?
Marshall.
That what it is? Okay, got it. Anyway.
Can't wait to see you guys.
Yeah, let me see here. Masio Parrot says, I'm at a wedding, but wanted to check in. We'll catch the replay later. All right, cool. Excellent. Bird's Eye View says, exciting week coming up. Yes, super exciting week. Again, there'll be a lot going on. So it ought to be pretty interesting. Yeah, one step closer. So it's going to be nice and rowdy next Friday. Yes. And then next Friday, Saturday. So it'll be pretty cool. Yeah, Jules says, hoo, I'm so in for a solar generator. Yeah, well, and Jules has had some pretty good luck at the giveaways and the drawings there at Midwest. Well, guys, I'm going to tell you, there are so many giveaways going on. Everything from, firearms to canning jars to just all kinds of cool stuff.
You know
I do. I do. Yep, I do.
You're on the in.
Well, it's something like that. So anyway, it'll be pretty cool. So
is that the only thing that you're going to give away on the live is the solar generator?
Solar generators. That's it. Everything else will be done in the normal giveaway time.
Have to be there.
You have to be there. You have to have a ticket. All the things that go on. Hey, look at that. Silver Lining's in the house, and I'm going to see her. And I'm not sure when she's coming in, but I think Silver Lining will be here for the permaculture people, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
And Silver Lining, we're super looking forward to seeing you. It's been a little while. Let me see. Hakestraw54, welcome to you. Hey, Spags Unfilters there. Talk about the Midwest Preparedness Project. Bobby, we were just talking about all of the events and things that go on. Saturday is kind of my favorite day. One, we're going to do a live. We've never done that before, but my favorite events come after that. And so there'll be things going on like a big potluck, which I love community dinners. Even though I'm weird about stuff like that, I still think being able to come together and break bread together on a huge scale is something to see. And then the best event of the entire Midwest Preparedness Project is Bartertown. We'll be there. And
so bring your wares.
Yeah, so bring your wares. And really the only rule is no money is allowed. Mm-hmm. Right. And so other than that, no currency is allowed. Maybe that's a better way to say that. Right. But so pretty exciting. Barbara S., hey, welcome to you. Good evening. Let's see here. Oh, yep. I think you're right. Look at what the baker said. So I think you got that pegged.
I did. Yes.
Pegged pretty right. Yeah. So anyway, it's pretty cool. I'm excited about doing it. It's going to be a busy week. There's a lot going on here at the farm. There's been a lot going on too, but mainly the biggest thing that's been going on is it's been raining.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how much rain we've gotten in the last 2 weeks, but there's plenty of mud.
Yeah. I drove down to the community building today. I thought for sure there was no way I could enter this week without all the concrete poured for the community building. There's no way. I have plenty of time. We're going to knock it out. No big deal.
Yeah.
And
you can't get to
I got halfway, but it's just been raining on my way down there today, and it's just a muddy mess.
Yeah.
There's just no way to get in there.
Well, and with all the rain, so I ran. I'm glad I'm on time. I ran down the driveway to get here in time because the dogs were barking up at the top of the driveway, and I don't know why I didn't drive. I thought that they were closer, but I walked up there and they had a snapping turtle pinned up against the shipping container, and it was jumping at him. I've never seen that before. And so I tried to get the dogs away from it, but they're surrounding it, and it's watching them, and it's jumping up at them. And so then I looked at my phone and I'm like, oh no. So I ran down the driveway. Whew, out of breath.
Yeah. So when
sweating,
B walked up here, when she was coming up the stairs we're on the third floor. When she was coming up the stairs, I looked at her and said, you have 18 seconds.
18 seconds.
Because I'm real big about going live right at 7. If I tell you people I'll be here at 7, I think the least I can do is be on time.
Yeah.
And anyway.
But I got hay moved, and I got the dogs away from the snapping turtle. I don't know. The snapping turtle would obviously bite the dogs, right? And not let go. So.
Oh yes. Hey, by the way, ACM Homestead, welcome. They're my friends Adam and Cindy from not too far away. Dorothy Holloway, good evening to you. The Famous Life with Mike and Jen are in the house, and I'm assuming that it's Jen. Yep, we're gonna miss you guys. Jen says the girls just wanted turtle soup. Yeah.
I've heard turtle is delicious, but I have not had turtle. Have you eaten snapping turtle?
I have never eaten turtle. Never. Yep. Jane says, hey, corn is growing and I'm laying it by with a hoe every day. Yeah. Tonight, I was up at the garden tonight.
Yeah.
I have never seen such big potato plants.
Okay. So some of that is
buttonweed?
Lamb's quarter.
Oh,
no.
Yeah, but there's some big potato
There
plants
are potatoes. Yeah. But you could see the potato plants are in the rows, and then in between that one section, in between the rows is Lamb's quarter.
Jane says, thank you for being on time. You know what, Jane, it's my job. And if I don't take it seriously, who's going to, right? I'm real big on that. I grew up under the theory of early you're a beggar and late you're a bum. And so I do everything I can to watch. Now, next time I'm going to be late.
Yeah. I saw a sign the other day that said early is the new on time.
I don't agree with that. On time is on time. Hey, Unique Prepping's in the house. Freedom Family got the Stephen Hawkins software. Need to learn how to change the voice because I sound like a female right now. Oh, but that would even be funnier. Zach, I think that would be great. Zach, big congratulations for you.
Yes.
I'm super excited for you.
That's wonderful.
I'm so blessed that B and I got to be part of it and experience some of it. Super, super cool. Hey, Frank B says, where do you live? First time here. Well, Frank's, we're in Northeast Kansas, and I'm super glad you're here.
Frank's bees.
Yeah, super glad you're here. And B is a beekeeper, if you didn't know that. But let's see here. What do we got? Mo says, you have a paper tag just in case. You have a paper tag just in case. I don't get it. You get it?
A paper tag?
Mo's kind of a smart butt, so there's a joke in here somewhere that I'm just not catching. Yep. Oh, Frank B says, howdy from Nebraska.
Oh,
hey.
in case you're not here. A paper tag, like a paper bee.
Oh, got it. Yeah, apparently I'm slow.
I got you, Mo.
Frank B says, howdy from Nebraska. I know a lot about Nebraska. I lived in West Point for quite a while. B lived in Lincoln for a long time. Her family, she's got a lot of family up around the Syracuse area. Frank's, just let's see here. What else we got here? Tag, you were in the military. Early is on time. Well, I understand. And I recognize that that's how they wanted it to run. But in my professional career, I believe that on time is on time.
Yeah.
And that is just what it is.
And late, you're a bum.
And late, you're a bum. That's the way I feel. Hey, Mario, what's up? There's
What's
my
up?
awesome rapping friend. Oh, look at that. Frank says from North Bend, which is very close to West Point.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time in North Bend early in my days. So Frank, early in my professional career, when I was a young man, I used to sell cars at Pouse Motor Sales. If that tells this is really going to make you feel close here, because I know you'll know exactly what that is. Some of my early sales jobs would have been right there at West Point selling cars. I really enjoyed that job, by the way. Let's see here, we usually stop at Shoemaker's Truck Stop in Lincoln. Lincoln's a cool town. Hey, Rosie, welcome. Hey, all, T-4 days. Yep, T-4 days. It's super exciting.
Is that the Candy Rosie?
I think so. 10 minutes early is on time unless you're Mario, then 10 minutes late is on time. Well, Mario is a special case. So Mario arrives at the exact time
that he's supposed to.
Because he's the flute man. And so the flute man has a weird own schedule. And so he's on time no matter what time he shows up. That's my story. But that's just the flute man thing. Yeah, American Root says, hey, Mario, flute man, I'm here with MC Sausage. What's up? I love surrounding myself with people in my life who have a sense of humor and can joke and can laugh and can just wing it. And it's okay to be silly. And that's been awesome. I got the chance to hang out with Joe from American Roots and Mario for a little while doing guy things. And it was just silly and fun. And I can't wait to do it again. Hey, Amy B says she found the Cool Kids Party. You did. It is the Cool Kids Party. All right. Let's see here. All right, babe. What do you got? Let's get talking about what's going on. Mud.
The first thing on my list was mud, just because I have been dealing with mud for days. The turkey coop, I don't know how thick is that mud in there. I tried to throw hay
6
on
inches.
it to try to sop some of it up, and now it's just like mushy, gooey grossness. So if I'm not walking down the hill, I'm like, woo, it's like roller skating because your feet try to go out from underneath you. So
I'll bet you in the last week we've had 6 inches of rain. Probably.
I don't know, but
the ponds are overflowing.
Yes, I've never seen this top pond as full as it is right now.
There's so much water, and I wish we had more ponds. We've got 4 now. I wish I had a 5th one because I could capture it.
Because it would be full also.
It would also be full.
We don't need any more ponds.
No.
We need it to dry out a little bit so that
It's slowed us a lot. We've managed to put, because the mud don't slow this down, so we've managed to get the T-posts around all 40 acres. And so there's T-posts now on all 4 sides, which is something we wanted to do, but I need to put the metal posts, the big steel metal posts in. but I got to drive down in there with the skid steer and the auger. And the problem is the way it is right now, I'm just going to tear my field up.
Yeah.
Because it's so wet. So that's kind of been on hold. The community building has been on hold. So I've been working in pod 4 and then just trying to keep my nose busy at work, so that I can do my best to feed the beast.
Feed the beast. Feed the beast.
Yeah.
But and I think that so today was our first day. It got kind of dried out. At least the surface dried out, and we're supposed to be getting more rain tomorrow morning or overnight into the morning. But then I think we have 3 days of no rain. So if that's the case, then we will be able to dry a little bit more out.
Yeah, Mike and Jen says, do you even have it on anymore? Yeah, I do. I've got great drainage for my pond.
Over it.
Well, no, the island, it's right where it's supposed to be. Yeah, but I'm glad that when we were putting in the big pond, we elected to put a big pipe in. Because originally they were talking about a 10-incher would be okay, or an 8-incher would be okay, and we ended up putting a 16-inch pond main drain in, and so it's handled it pretty good.
I think he's probably talking about the island that you put the sand in.
Oh yeah, it's up over
and
that.
That is, the rocks are they're gone now.
Yeah,
I mean, the rocks are hopefully they're still where they're supposed to be, but you can't see them because the water is above them.
Yeah, this is important, everybody. So Eagle Lover says, beyond severe flooding just outside of Houston, I can't get a hold of Vicky and Dan. They live in the evacuation area. So Sunshine Kid and Private Cluck from Freesteading is who they're talking about, or Vicky Pullen from The Lives is who they're talking about. So yeah, you prayer warriors out there, let's get some prayers out for Vicky and Dan and do all we can to help them. Thanks for letting us know. American Root says, I wonder if our pond is gaining water. Your pond is full.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's no way it's not full. Now, how long it stays there?
Yeah.
What's this tag? Do you feed the beast by delivering meals in the new pink side-by-side?
That side-by-side that you showed the picture of.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I just pulled that one off the internet, but she's got an orange side-by-side that says Super Bee on it. It's a Kubota. And I don't deliver very many meals. You do. You deliver a fair amount. I don't deliver any. Let's see here. Nito says, the last time Houston area flooded during Harvey, our daughter's home flooded, hoping for the best. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what else you got?
So I don't know if I said this. No, I didn't, because so last week I had I was getting ready to put 10 of the 31 turkey eggs on lockdown, and I trying to do the math, depending upon when you find them, when you start to
explain that, because the turkeys go out in the woods and they lay the eggs.
Yeah.
And then she goes and finds a whole clutch of them, and then she takes them in and puts them in the incubator. Yes. So we don't exactly know when it starts.
When they were laid, or when they started to do the incubation period. So I get them and then I bring them in to try to improve my population instead of allowing them to do it naturally. So I had on last Friday, I had 10 of the eggs, 10 of the 31 that I was supposed to put on lockdown, which lockdown is like the last 3 days of your incubation time. You're supposed to take them off of the rocker or roller and put them, or just take them off of the roller so that they stop rolling. And by Saturday morning, all 10 of them had hatched. So my math was a little incorrect, but I did get them in time.
But she hatched 10 of 10.
I hatched 10 of 10. So that I've never hatched 100% before. But that next morning, one did not make it. Or after they hatched, by the next morning, one did not make it. But I do have 9 of them. I don't know if anybody else did not know this, like I didn't, but so I have 2 Narragansett females, and I borrowed a silver tom.
Slate.
I'm sorry, slate. Yes, it's a blue slate tom, and brought him home. And so thinking that I had a silver or slate tom and 2 Narragansett females, that I would have a cross between Narragansett, which is kind of a grayish, brownish, whitish bird.
Blackish.
Yes, but it's not a solid color, kind of like sandish. So 2 of those, 2 girls, and then the slate. I would have a cross between them, easy peasy. I ended up with 3 that looked like Narragansetts, and then I got 3 that looked like slate, and then I got 4 that were solid black. And I went,
yeah,
I don't know how that happened.
Someone's been getting around.
So after doing some Googling, I guess that they can stay fertile for 30 days. And I did have the black artisans that were here before I gave them away. So I'm assuming that, and that's what they look like, because I hatched or I didn't hatch this black artisans. I got them as chicks. And so they look exactly like the ones that I have now look exactly like the black artisans when they were chicks. So I'm thinking that 4 of them are black artisan mix, which was a broad-breasted, and the Narragansetts are heritage. So I'm assuming that they'll still reproduce. I have no idea what I'm doing, people. It's a learning curve for me. I think that the next batch should not be within the 30 days. I'm not sure. I don't know what I'm going to get. Turkeys? I'm assuming they're turkeys.
Yeah.
But then now I have 10 that I think May 15th will go into lockdown if my math is right. But and then like 2 days later I will have another lockdown period. So I am well on my way into turkey rearing and growing my turkey flock, since my turkeys from Meyer Hatchery are not coming. I am blessed and happy, excited that I get to just grow my own from what I have here, or what I did have here.
Yeah, I want to say hello to KY Goatman real quick, and one more Rock who have joined since we've been talking. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm well on my way into turkey mommyhood.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. We started the year with turkeys, ducks, geese, guineas, or as far as what lived here, because we still have the sheep at the other farm.
Yeah.
We still have the pig at the other farm and the cow at the other farm. But as far as living here, was pretty much just all birds. And today, you got geese, guineas, chickens, turkeys, cows.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's completely out of control.
Yes. And we now have outside dogs too, because they're 1 year old. So before that, we didn't have outside. I never had outside dogs that just live outside and want to be outside.
Jen says, B, you've been running turkeys since I met you. Yeah, but I think what she means is that we had bought turkeys. This is the first time she's been hatching them on her own.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had them for a while.
I've incubated them and hatched them, and they're so far so good. I have them in the brooder. Lou she has some turkeys in the brooder, and she was smart. She put chicks in with her turkeys, because if you have a couple of chicks in with your pullets, then the chicks will automatically eat and drink, where the pullets go through a starvation period where they don't. And then the chicks will help to encourage and teach the turkeys to eat and drink. So she was smart and did that. But her chickens hatched before her turkeys. So she brought her chickens over here and put them in my brooder to teach my turkeys to eat and drink and be merry. So I'll have to give those back as soon as her turkeys hatch, and then she will need to have them to teach her.
Yeah, Jen said she was referring to the 2-legged turkeys.
Ah.
I thought all turkeys were 2-legged.
She's talking about you.
But aren't turkeys 2-legged too?
Yeah.
Dork. Jen, I gotta share something with you. All turkeys have 2 legs.
That's funny.
Just saying. So what else did you do that was naughty? B?
Me? I didn't do anything that was naughty.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
So I had the 9 turkeys in this brooder, and it was like this massive brooder that Tag built.
It's awesome. The brooder, super cool.
It is super cool. It's made out of plywood and 1-inch foam board sandwiched in between the plywood, and it has glass on top so I can see through it without opening the lid, and has a light bar in there so they can have light, and I don't have to necessarily open it up to see what's in there. And it's wonderful, but it was like kind of empty, with only 9 turkeys in there and Louise's 3 chickens. So anyway, I was on my way home to meet MMR to talk with her, and I had to take a detour because I had a friend in town who said she was going to Tractor Supply to get dog food, and they had invited her into the back room to see if they had her particular dog food in stock. And she said, you have some speckled Sussex chicks back here. And the guy, and on the tote that these chicks were in was a sign that said 50% off. They were in the back room. So she was like, hey, I'm going to call my girlfriend real quick. She called me up and she was like, B, there's some speckled Sussex at Tractor Supply for 50% off. And I was like, are you
not just speckled Sussex, sexed speckled Sussex?
Yes.
All girls.
Yes. Premium.
Well, yeah, the premiums, right.
So I turned my truck around and headed back to Tractor Supply. I think I skidded a little bit too, trying to turn around, and then headed back into town. And I met her, and it was a whole big ordeal because by the time I got there, she had said hey, how many of these birds do you want? And I said, I want all of them. And she was like, well, I'm getting 3 of them, and there's only 25. So it looks like you're getting 22. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'm on my way. So I get there, and she was talking to the guy hey, if we're going to buy all of these, why don't you give them to us for a better discount? And he called his manager, and she was on the other line and said, those birds were in the back room. We just got those in today. Those are not half price birds. And she said, but there's a sign on them that says half price. And I already saw it, and I took a picture. I would like to have them for half price, which is what I just saw that they were. And before the guy called the manager, the guy said I don't know what the original price was, $5.75 or $5 something. And the guy in his head did the math and told my friend that they were going to be $2.25 a piece for these birds. And so when we got up to the register, half price was $2.75, and my girlfriend was like, oh, no, they're $2.25. And so the cashier had to call the manager, and then the manager said, damn it, give them to him because we messed up. And so, yeah, I got 22 premium speckled Sussex for under $50. And I brought them home and put them in the brooder.
So now your brooder's full.
I could probably fit a couple more in there. But yeah, he was all you don't think you needed more birds? And I'm like, who doesn't need more birds, right? That's where you start. That's what starts a farmstead is the chickens. You got to have enough chickens.
How many of your speckled Sussex chicks do you already have out there waiting to grow up? Not counting the new ones. How many do you already have?
I don't know. They move too fast.
30?
No, I don't think it's that many.
Well, yeah, it's that many.
Because whatever you bought, 4 of those died.
Okay, so you're down to 26?
Something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
1, 2, 3. Then you just...
Hey, Jane says, I wish you had pictures. Jane, are you talking about pictures of the brooder? What are you talking about? Because I probably have them. One step closer goes chicken man.
Yes, chicken math. It's like what you say. Like when you go, it's like kids. Like when you go from like 0 to 1, like that's a lot. That's a big deal. And when you go from like 1
Don't
to
even
2,
try
like,
it. Don't even try it.
You're like, oh my gosh, do we want a second one? This is a big deal. And then, but by the time you have like 6, like 2 more is not a big deal. It's just not. Like they're all hungry at the same time. You feed them all at the same time. It's just, you might as well have a whole, clutch of them.
Hey everybody, Kentucky Goatman's got a YouTube channel that Jules posted the link to. You guys ought to go over there and check it out and subscribe. All right, where are we at here? Oh, she says the brooder. So yeah, I can.
Do you have pictures of the brooder?
I think didn't I do a video building the brooder? I don't know. I think I have.
I don't know, but you should, because it turned out really nice.
Yeah. Hey, Toby Baldwin's in the house, a future Kansan. How are you, Toby?
Yep.
Hubby says, let's not go there. More birds. I don't want to build another coop.
Just stick them in with the others. Yeah. They'll make nice.
Yep. Jen says, that's awesome. When I started buying chicks, they were $1.99 straight run and $2.99 for sexed, and I'm not that old. Yep. Finally, the diversity ESG rules of Tractor Supply working in your favor. Indeed, Mo. Indeed. Yeah, the problem is again, it's all about infrastructure, right?
Yes.
It's all about having the right things to take care of them through the different stages of their life.
Yep.
Right. And then also being able to feed them and, and all of those kind of things. So, I mean, at the end of the day, for me, it's about, do we have everything in place to deal with them? And B isn't wired like that. She sees a shiny object and figures I'll deal with it later.
I'll put it in my pocket.
Yeah. And we'll deal with it. Hey, KY Goatman says, thanks, Tag. Oh, bud, you're super welcome. Guys, we got to stick together, all of us, right? I mean, this is what, we should all be doing for each other 100% of the time. If there's somebody else out there that's got a YouTube channel that I'm unaware of or whatever, tell me, and we'll make sure we post a link and do all we can to help you.
That's a cute little baby cow.
Yeah, you didn't send me any pictures of our baby cow, did you?
No, I took a couple of videos, but I was trying to get him he was like running around and kicking and having a good old time. But when I got my phone out, he was like, oh no, she's looking.
Yeah.
And at first, when he was first born, he'd let me go up and rub him and scratch on him. But now he's like, whoa, she's coming closer. So I'm going to have to get a halter, and I'm going to have to, do halter training on him so that we can love him.
Yeah. Hey, Jules, can you get me Prep Rebel Actual's YouTube channel up on a link?
Prep Rebel Actual. So
that we can get that up there too. That'd be great. Or one of the mods. Jules usually is like
she's fast
the first one. Yeah. Sorry, skipped it. Frank B says, how many hives do you have? So we've had as many as 9 and as little as 4.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. And so, because we, every year we lose 1 or 2, and then we could buy some more or grow some more and split them. But bee, we actually started this entire homestead around bees, and that's kind of where it all began for us, Frank.
That was the first thing we got was bees.
Yeah. Jules says, I can't wait for the day I get chickens. I'm working on plans to figure out how to get the property cleared and the fence put up. Jules, I looked at that property. It doesn't seem like there's a lot to clear. Why don't you just go out there with a hatchet or a machete and just clear it? That's pretty easy work. Unless I'm missing something, which if I am, tell me. Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. Dorothy wants to know what did you end up naming the baby calf?
We call him Camus.
Yeah, his name is Camus.
Because he is camouflage. I don't know how many times I look out in the field and I'm like, oh no, he's missing. Oh, he's right there.
Yeah, yeah.
He is the color of the dirt.
Yeah, he is camoed. And his mom's name is Moo. So he got the name Camus based upon you guys actually named him on the live.
I think it was LJC that said that. Yep.
Okay, so you guys, LJC.
She's the winner.
Chicken dinner. Yep. Hey, Tim Riley, good evening to you. And Jules, here is Prep Rebel Actual's YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Yep. Eagle Lover, you're awesome. You don't even worry about it. What else you got in here? Back in the 50s and 60s, Grandma had chickens everywhere and sold a lot of eggs. Yep, says Gregory. You know what? And I might be wrong about all of this, but we really have no intention of selling anything off the farm. Because for me, it's until we can produce 100% of our needs, what business do I have of selling anything off the farm? Plus, the other thing is, if you've noticed in the news, a lot of the attacks that have come against farmers have to do with commerce. Mm-hmm. You sell eggs, or you sell meat, or you sell one of those things. If you give it
away, you don't get in trouble. But if you
get in
sell
way
it,
less trouble. I think, at least at this point. But
And we have enough community members that could use the overabundance of things that we don't consume.
Banquet of Consequences says, I just started one. I have 4 videos. I have a cooking blog. All right, cool.
Good.
So could someone get me that link and we'll put it up too?
They can't post their own?
Well, so only a moderator in here can post a link. But the problem is normally I would just make somebody a moderator to allow them to post a link. But because I broadcast now through StreamYard, I can't do it here. I have to do it in YouTube, which means I would have to open up YouTube, and then I've got 2 feeds running at the same time. And so I can't do it from here unless obviously I'm over there.
Oh, okay.
Hey, last morning. Hello. Welcome. LJC says, woohoo, did I win a solar generator? Yeah, well, it'll all depend on if you're in the audience or if you're chatting in the chat.
But I did give your husband the honey from Redneck.
Hey, we'll be cool. Good evening to you. Yep, Farmland Homestead says, I agree, Tag. I don't want to sell anything off my farm either. I'll happily barter. Yeah, that's what I think. I think is the right model too. Yep, Jen said the same thing. Barter with community is super important. Oh, there we go, Jules. Thank you. So there is Okie Ranch Wife, the Banquet of Consequences. There's that channel. We'll leave that just a little bit. Now, what do we got here? Gypsy said, I sent you a picture of Camus. All right, let's see what we got here, because I can do this. Let's see here. Oh, he is so pretty.
See there? He looks so brand. That was right when he was born.
Yeah. All right. Everyone will like this because, who don't like cute?
He's like grayer now. He's changing like colors, and I don't know if that's a normal thing. His his nose and not his actual nose, but his, I don't know what you call that. His snout, his feet, they're all like lighter, and he's not as brown. Okay,
here we go, guys. I'm going to share screen. All right. So that is Mr. Camus right there, out there in the woods. And he's awful friendly. I scratch him all the time and love on him all the time, and he don't seem to be too concerned.
Make that bigger?
I don't know. Probably.
Oh yeah, you were doing it. There you go.
There, is that better?
Yeah.
Look at that. So that is the new addition to the Tag and Bee clan.
Camus.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Yeah, Prep Rebel says it's better to let the mods do the links. Yeah, because you get too much going on. I agree. Good advice. Hey, KY Goat Mag, good night to you, bud. Yep, thanks for being the honey mule. Yeah, well, we're not actually the honey mule. If you really want to know, it's Mossy Oak Parrot, right? And the Redneck that are the mule. We might be the landing spot, though. Maybe. Let me see here. I traded Mario for some delicious beef. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Yeah, you could. I might make that trade, actually. Mario's pretty handy dude,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
Frank
he just comes up with some rhymes really fast, too.
Mario. He does. He's quick. Today was better than last Friday. Last Friday, we got hammered by tornadoes. Yeah, and I'm going to talk about tornadoes a little bit here, a little bit later on, because it has been definitely weird. Yep, some honey and loads of laughter. Amen to that. Let's see here. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. He's cute. He's an angel. Camus, such an appropriate name for him. Yeah, he is super, super cool. Maybe you can teach him some tricks, and then you can call him Shamu the cow. Yeah, Matt says, I can't see him. He's camouflaged. When he gets laying in, like not where he's standing now because he's down in the woods there, but when he gets laying in the grass, he is super, super hard to see.
Or the hay or...
Yeah, Frank says rubber band time. Actually, we're going to trade him, I think, for a different Dexter that we're then going to eat. And then he'll go into the stud pool.
The bull, yeah.
The bull pool to be bred to, which won't be on my farm, be on another homestead's farm. So we're actually going to trade him for one that isn't as unique. Is that the right way to say that?
Yeah.
And then we're going to eat that one, which will be pretty cool.
Yeah. We this is a new coloring for us.
Yeah. So, and he's got a super good temper. He's very mellow.
Yeah.
And, you want to breed, I'm learning this, you want to breed temperament, because the easier they are to deal with, and the easier they are to deal with.
We're learning this with our Cowboy, because Cowboy does not like.
He don't play nice.
He doesn't know. He's challenging in every fashion.
Yeah. So, by the way, I got to tell you guys a story about this. You'll like this about B.
Can you hand me that green?
Yeah, you guys are going to laugh. So, Cowboy is an Angus. So, we have Moo, who is a Dexter. We have Lady, who's a Dexter. We have Camus, who's a Dexter, and then we have Cowboy, who's an Angus. So Cowboy's bigger than the rest of them. He's probably 1,000 pounds. And the reason we have him is he is supposed to be our beef for 2025. And so we just grow him, and then we'll butcher him, and he'll be our beef. But he is getting, as he gets older, he's getting a little more aggressive. And when I say aggressive, not really mean, but like he
wants food.
He wants food. And so
he wants it now.
He is fine pushing everybody around. He's fine getting in your way. He don't care if you're in the way. He just wants that food. So he's not mean, but he's food aggressive, maybe is the word I would use it. But anyway, so he was picking on one of the other cows the other day, and little Miss Firecracker over here stuck her 2 fingers up his nose and yanked him out of there. This big 1,000-pound steer.
Well, I tried to push him, and I tried to use my foot to push him, and then I tried to use my hand to push him, and he was just there. Right? He's just bigger than me, and so I had to get him out of the other cow's food, and so. But Louise did teach me they don't like their nose so if I have a stick and I hit him in the nose, he closes his eyes and just puts his head down, ow, 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 ow. And so you don't even have to do it hard.
Mm-hmm.
You're just shoo him away with his nose, and he doesn't like it. Yeah. So just by me watching her do that, and then her saying they don't like their nose played with or hit or whatever. So it's a whole lot easier than using my everything I have to try to push him out of the way. And because if he's just standing there there's no food around, and I try to go up to him, he backs away. He doesn't want me touching him. But if there's food in front of
then he don't care.
He doesn't care if I'm there. He wants that food.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what I'm doing. So learning along the way, and because she's had cows and she's an expert at it. So just watching her interact with them has helped me to know what to do. But the other day I tried to get him out. I tried to pull his head off of Moo's food. I mean, she's nursing. And I don't give him much. It's just it's the end of the day. Here's a little sweet feed. And I tried to pull his nose out, and he wasn't having it. I grabbed him by his lip, and I pulled his lip, trying to get his head out of her bowl. And he did not. He finally did leave her bowl. But when he did, he kicked back at me with his back feet, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I know I have to be careful with him, what he's doing, where he's at, what direction he's facing, because he kicks with his back legs. So I don't want to be back there.
Yeah, but and I don't want to be physical with him either, unless you have to be, but you got to establish that you're the boss. And I wanted to leave this comment up here. Jen says, such a blessing to have Miss Lou. Yeah, having Miss Lou around is so funny. She gets in there with them, and everyone's like, nope, I ain't messing with that chick. So it's just been nice, to have her around.
Well, I think it's because she just knows what she's doing, and she's confident in doing it. So
yeah. Prepper Blackswell says food dominant. Yes, definitely food dominant. Amy says, is Cowboy a steer? Yes, he's already been cut. Like I said, we're just growing him for meat. But we'll get there at some point. Gizmo says, tag and B, are you near the 33rd parallel? We're actually around near the 37th parallel. Yeah, Jules says, B, pushing that cow is like pushing a car. It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
he's big. I mean, he's young. He's only a year old, but he's got to be every bit of 800, 900 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe even bigger. I mean, Matt says, put a nose ring on him, and then you can grab that and move him instead of the bull snot. Well, when she stuck his fingers up into his nose, I was surprised she didn't come chasing me. You smell my finger kind of thing, but Yeah, Luis says hot shot will be delivered Wednesday. Gregory says, I have short horn cattle, so you never know what mixture of red and white calves there will be. We actually thought we were going to have a white calf.
Right.
But
all of her she was bred to a white Dexter, and her previous cows had all been white. So when he was born, I thought he was going to be white.
Okay, I got to look it up. They're telling me I'm at the 39th parallel, and I swear we're at the 37th.
Definitely not white.
All right, I'm going to look it up. It's funny, other people know where I live better than I do. 37th.
Well, maybe it changed, you know.
No, it didn't change, I'm sure.
Everything else changes. The time
Let's
changes.
See what the 30.
The growing season changes.
Let's see if I can get honed in on that. No, it does look like I'm going to be a little bit north of the 37th, so maybe they're right. All right, where are we at here?
So 37th?
Yeah. Yeah, Matt. Apparently we're at the 39th. I'm not right on it, but it sure looks like that's about right.
Oh, now it disappeared?
Yeah, see, I wanted to look right there, but anyway. I don't want to waste these people's time, but Skanes Girl says 33rd is the Arkansas-Louisiana state line. Yeah, for some reason I swore we were at the 37th. Not sure why I thought that.
Why does it matter?
But I did. Oh, they just asked what parallel we were at.
What does that do?
It's just your grid coordinates, kind of where where about you're located at.
A cow kick is worse than a horse kick.
Yeah, I don't want to experience them. I've been kicked by a horse.
I was going to say,
yeah.
Have you been kicked by a horse?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I found something interesting. If you guys want to, I don't know how interested you guys will be in it. So my grandpa on my mom's side was an amazing artist. And it's how I got my ability, my creativity, why my kids got it. But he was good. He could sit there and take a mental picture of like a cow's skull out in the field and go home and it would look exact. And he was just so good at it. He owned 9,000 acres of land in a little place called Tie Siding, Wyoming, which was right pretty much on the Colorado-Wyoming border, pretty close to Laramie, Wyoming.
9,000?
9,000 acres of land. And he died. But anyway, so I found a picture that he drew. Well, my mom found it and gave it to me, but a picture he drew when he was 8 years old. And I thought I'd share it with you guys. And I included the picture, but I also included the back of it. It says it's drawn by Pat, which was my grandpa, age 8, your great grandfather. And so he was drawing a picture of he'd be my grandfather. So that'd be his dad that he was drawing a picture of on their homestead, back in the day. And I just thought, oh my goodness, that is so cool. Yeah,
it's all bent and wrinkly. And
yeah, I just had to fold it out and take a picture of it. But I had never, I think for 8 years old, that's pretty remarkable. Yeah. For 8 years old, I could draw better than that today, but I am not 8 years old.
I can't.
You couldn't, but anyway, I don't know if you guys like that kind of stuff, but I absolutely love history. Just absolutely amazing that an 8-year-old kid could, draw something like that.
Yeah.
At least to me. But I wish I would have had some of his art, before he had left. I never really knew him that good, so we weren't like buds or anything.
But you'd met him.
Many times, yeah. Hey, RN, welcome. Good evening to you. Yeah, for an 8-year-old boy, Matt, that's a pretty good drawing for an 8-year-old boy. Yeah. So what else is up? So with the expansion of all of the animals, Bee's made many decisions this year, right? And as you guys know, Bee decided she needed a truck, so I got her truck. And she decided that she needed a tractor.
So I got a tractor.
Yeah, and she decided that she needed chicks. She got chicks. She decided, right?
I wanted more turkeys.
Yeah. So why don't you share with all these wonderful people out there, what's the next thing you've decided you need?
Well, because the cow, especially the aggressive eater cow, Lou had a stall for all of her cows, and that she would feed them in their stalls, and there was no fighting over the food. And I thought, man, if I could just have a place to feed them, right? A place to feed them where I don't have to be in danger. They don't have to be one starving and then one getting bloat because it's eating everybody's food. That if we were able to have individual places to feed them, like a barn, place to park my tractor. Yeah. So I talked to you last week about the barn plans, how to fit everything in, and where is it at? This is the one we were using. So the barn, and then like, what's this one? Where to put a washing station and where to put the utility room, try to fit everything in, in these squares. And so anyway, we're talking about getting a barn, trying to, how can we swing with everything going on? How can we swing a barn into the mix?
Who's we?
Well, you. I mean, how can you get me a barn to put the cows that I keep accumulating? Like, you buy one chicken, it's not a big deal. You buy 17, it's not a big deal. You buy 45, you need a bigger chicken barn. You have one cow, not a big deal. Then comes two, you got to have one to eat.
Hardway Alaska says, back then, no TV or other distractions, just time to work on the farm and fine tune your skills. Great artist.
That's right.
And then one other comment, Farm Ranch Homestead says, I've been through tie siding, Wyoming. I have property about 70 miles from there.
Oh.
So my grandpa owned tie siding. So he owned that. There's really not anything there but a post office, an antique store, and a fireworks stand.
Back when you were there.
When I was there. I haven't been there.
Something else
maybe there's more now, but this was probably
20
years ago.
There was a property name or the snake, something about a
snake.
You're
talking about the snow snake. So my grandpa would tell us the story about the snow snake out in Wyoming, and he was such a handy guy. He built this huge rock retaining wall around his property and with white rock wound the white snow snake through. And he would always tell the grandkids the story about the great white snow snake, and that's what she's talking about. But anyway, I just wanted to we'll get back to what we were talking about. But so let's talk about a barn. So
yeah. So I was trying to figure out how to get a barn to, if I could have a stall for each of the 3 cows,
mm-hmm.
then I could feed them and not have any issues with the whole process. So we're trying to figure out how to finagle a barn out of the mix.
This is where, you guys, and I talk about this all the time, this is where the power of community matters, because it's not just, okay, let's go figure out a barn. Right? There's more to it. So if I can harness the purchasing power of the community, maybe we can get barns a whole lot cheaper. So me and my good buddy, the king himself, sat down and started looking at what if we bought a couple barns, and we start going through it. And so I kind of show you guys, oh, look at that. What happened to the Wallapini? The hole is still up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I would not even consider taking on the barn, and do it by doing it myself, because I just don't have time. So what I was looking for was, how can I just get a barn put up quick, cheap, but also, with quality and those kind of things. So, because again, I've got the community building I'm building. So anyway,
and a house and a farm. And
yep. So we've been working on this with B, trying to get her, kind of exactly what she wanted. So what she wants, and you guys tell me if you think this is a good idea or not. So this barn would have 7 garage doors on one side, and each one of those would open up to a stall. And I kind of like the idea of the garage doors, because I can then isolate each individual stall if it's not using it. If I'm not using it, you can lock it down. You could store feed in it. I could keep it out of the weather. The other thing is when it gets, because guys, here it gets cold.
Yeah.
We have that little bit of time where it's super, super cold. And so anyway, so her idea was to put these 7 doors down the side, which would represent the 7 stalls. You'd open the door, and then there'd be a stall door, and then, they could come in. This
like a gate.
Yeah, this would allow the stalls to be about 10 by 10 right in there somewhere. And so this is what the one side would look like. Here's the other side. So this would be the back of it. So you'd have a big garage door on either side of the gable side. So you could obviously
pull the tractor.
Yeah, so you could pull the tractor all the way in it. This side would have a lean-to on it. And if you guys look, they're just 8 by 8 openings, and then I would finish this myself. But the purpose of something like this lean-to would be to store lawnmowers, wood chippers, all of the equipment, get stuff up out of the rain. Plus, it increases my roof size, which allows me to gather more rain and water. And this is the front. But what I wanted to show you guys, oops, sorry, wrong slide. What I wanted to show you guys is, so this right here is where my cost is right now to have it built delivered and installed. So this does not include the concrete, but this is the building, everything on it, all the garage doors, everything, and them doing all of the work. But what's neat about this is about $12,000 off retail. And the only reason I could get to $12,000 off retail is by harnessing the power of the community.
Yeah.
And so what would have been about a $40,000 building, I'm down to 28, and we're still kind of, kind of going,
a few things,
back and forth and trying to figure it all out. But this is what B has decided that she wants next. And of course, happy spouse, happy house. And I'm going to do everything I can to see if I can find a way to pull it off, for her. Mo says, maybe before you build the barn, think ahead to additional critters, B, want to get, so you're not doing again in a month or so. Boy, that's some smart advice there, bud. And me and B has had some conversations about that. But I think you would agree.
Well, I think too, we got 7 stalls there. We got 3.5 cows. So I think that's room to grow.
Yeah, Preparedness actual, it's all aluminum. There's no wood in it. Now I'll put wood in it when I build stalls and stuff, but this is entirely
the
metal.
outside is all,
metal building. To Mo's point though, I really don't see us getting into more animals.
Right.
I mean, we've kind of honed in on exactly what we want, I think, right? Until that changes, obviously.
Right.
But
right.
So she says, does that price include all the roll-up doors and the lean-to? Yes. That's the 2 big doors, because there's a big 10-foot tall door on one side and then a 10-foot tall door, plus the 7 8-foot doors on the one side, plus the lean-to,
and
plus the insulation. Doors. This is everything included.
I thought it didn't. This one did not include insulation.
No, I did not.
Oh, does not installation, not insulation. It
includes installation, not insulation.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And then 2 people doors to get in and out of.
Yeah, B gets what B needs because she's deserved it. Well, that's really true, but somehow I've got to find a way to pay for it, which is the only problem.
Well, and so the thing is we're learning. We got sheep. We got bees and sheep were the first things that we bought, and then we're like, when was the last time we ate sheep? Mm-hmm. That's not like our. And I don't know if we had sheep, would we eat the sheep? But we eat burger all the time. That is our main meal, burger and chicken or turkey, bird. So we're kind of honing in on the things that we eat, the things that will, the food that will be provided for us. So if we have a place to put the things, then, and I know there are people who have cows that don't put their cows in a barn. They live outside all the time and they throw a hay bale out there and they eat that and that's it. But that's not us. So being able to house the things that we are going to be eating is kind of what we're trying to get to, I guess.
Well, she already has 2 barns, just for the record. Well, she has a big chicken coop
and a turkey coop,
which has a big stall in it for
a stall.
Yeah,
has 1 stall.
So what about llamas, sheep, goat, pigs, and zebras? So he owns sheep now, although they're raised at the farm next door.
And the pig, we decided that we were not going to raise pigs. We were going to raise beef, and maybe we can trade for some pig, or maybe we can.
What about alpaca, emu, and ostrich?
No, I don't think that we'll get those.
Prep Rebel says, don't forget about the insulation. I will not. Farm Ranch says that's a pretty good price. Banquet says it's a pretty good price. Says I learned a long time ago to build so that I could add on later as needed. That's how we built our house, was in pods. And this would create more stalls than we had animals for.
Yeah.
Right. I only really need 4, but we're considering building it at 7 because that way we have, some room to grow.
Well, in case one has in case we have to isolate one or put, one has a baby and we need to, we just don't know what we're going to end up with as far as, not that I'm looking to have 7 cows. That's not my intent.
Hey, Frank, do you sell your honey? I would be interested in knowing, because I might have some market for you if that's something you're interested in doing.
120. What did that say? 125 hives?
He said he used to have, he had 125. Now he has 12 to 20.
Wow.
Yeah. Tulip Little Angel, good evening, by the way, says that's pretty cheap. Spent $80,000 on a 30 by 30. Whew, man, 30K seems very reasonable, not having to do the work. You see, mutton is very different than beef. Inside the barn, you might consider having a maternity stall and setup. Yeah, so Gregory, what we were talking about doing is making the center sections of the stalls to be able to remove. So I can make one stall into two anytime that I chose to.
Yeah.
We're also talking about taking the center stall and making it a milking station. So that I can lead them in, and then when they're done, just let them out to pasture.
And also a washout station, right?
Right.
So that we could like hose off the mats or a cow or whatever that needs to be hosed off. And so, or the milking station, if it, for some reason something happens that we need to hose everything out, then we can do that. Did you decide, are we going to do concrete on the floors of the stalls?
Oh yeah, I'd actually like to hear everyone else's opinion on this. So
we're having a dilemma.
Yeah, part of me wants to
planning.
concrete the stalls and then put rubber mats down, because then I can just pick the rubber mats up, I can hose them off. Now I recognize that I'll have to seal the concrete, right? Because concrete's porous. And if you get that pee smell down in there, if you don't get it good and sealed, you might have some issues. But I love the idea of being able to pull my skid loader in, drop the bucket, and just clean it.
You just scrape it onto the
concrete. Just scrape it right off and then pick it up and haul it somewhere else. I mean, because again, I'm getting older and I don't know that, I'm trying to make everything as easy to maintain as I
how high
can.
were the doors? Because the skid loader will only fit and
it'll fit.
Well, like it scrapes the door on the turkey coop
Yeah,
now,
and
so.
the stalls on this barn is a foot taller than what's on the turkey coop.
Okay, a foot taller.
Yeah, so it'll go in just fine. But I'm just trying to think about making it as easy as I can to maintain it. Right?
So
I don't want the home
with that, scraping that on the concrete?
Yeah. I don't want the homestead to turn into a place where all it is work 100% of the time, right? So I don't really know. I mean, then there's the idea of the dirt, but the problem is with the dirt is that I'm just going to be constantly digging out dirt and putting new dirt back in.
Well, and if it's dirt, I mean, I can show you what dirt and water make right now.
Right, and it becomes a muddy mess.
Like
right,
6 inches deep, and it's like stinky problem.
Yeah. Prep Rebel says dirt floor is much easier to clean. Yeah, I'm thinking though, because I'll have off-grid water, I'll have a pump, I'll have high power water in there. She can hose off the concrete anytime. And if I lean it just a little bit where it all runs towards the door, which I can do super easy, maybe. But anyway, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on whether to do that. The rest of it, I'm going to concrete anyway. So the drive path will be concrete. The other side will be concrete, which is where we'll store feed. I'll put a wash station in there, some of those kind of things. So I'm not real sure. Chris says build it once and build it right. I agree with that, but I don't know what build it right means in reference to the stall. So for those of you guys who don't know, my dad showed quarter horses all over the world.
And his barn was nice.
His barn was nice. And that's his stalls were concrete. And then they had a big, like 1/2-inch rubber pad on them. And then they would put shavings in and they would clean them out all the time. But he got it to a point where it was very easy to do on a bigger scale. Prep Rebel says, if you scrape with your loader, you'll become an expert with your equipment. Yeah, well, I've been running my skid loader many years now. And what I'll probably do is go get an old road grader blade, like you put on a 3-point, right? A scraper like you put on a 3-point on the back of a tractor, cut it off and weld it to a skid loader plate so that I can go in and dump it and with whatever angle I want and just pull it back out. I'll make my own
you'll
skid
be able
loader.
To like move it left to right.
That'd be the advantage to it is I could get in
loader?
With a skid loader and then you're just pulling it in, dropping the blade and dragging it right back out. Almost no maintenance. I mean, you're literally talking about, babe, just spending a little bit of time, on a machine. Now, if the machine ever goes down, that sucks, but you would have that if you didn't have the machine and had dirt floors, right? So I don't really see the harm, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Chris White says concrete floors. Then there's your answer. Your dad had it the right idea. But in fairness, he had $250,000 quarter horses.
Right, they were.
Right, they had blankets on them the whole time, and everything was climate controlled, and all of those kind of things. So, yeah. I don't know. I just absolutely don't know.
That's where we're trying to figure out like what is the best, and then too with it being a dirt floor and having footings, you're making like a little a well where the poop and stuff will go in and sit without having to shovel it up and over that footer.
Yeah, Mario says we used to build horse barns for high-end breeders. Automatic waterers, retractable hose reels, and floor drains were standard equipment.
Floor drains. You kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. Prep Rebel says it really comes down to cost. Well, kind of, because here's the thing. So I know this because I'm in the middle of doing the community building. So if to concrete the stalls is going to cost me an extra $2,000. If I leave it dirt, I save $2,000. So the question is, for $2,000, is it worth concreting that and being able to manage it like that? I don't know. We're still debating it. If you want a real boogie, you can do like the Arabian breeders do and add classical music through a sound stream and purified water. No, B, that's a horrible idea. Let me see here. Cow barn at the farm I worked for had rubber mats over concrete in the pen, tub, and squeeze sheet areas. Cleanup wasn't too bad with several guys on it. And that's really what I'm really trying to accomplish is just low maintenance. Look how they make free stalls for dairy cows. They are on sand in stalls. Concrete is hard on cows' feet. That's why I think you put the rubber mat in there, though, right? And maybe it's harder on cows' feet than it was horses, but all I know is what I know. And like I said, in my dad's stalls, they had a big, 1/2-inch rubber pad, and then he would take that rubber mat out and take it out in the walkway, and he had a wash area, and he had big clips on the wall, and he would clip it up on that clip, and power wash it off and take it back to the stall.
Yeah, those were heavy duty clips because those mats are heavy.
Yeah, concrete floors with drain ditches. We were talking about drains, but then what I'm worried about with the drain is it getting full of manure and getting plugged.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure you'd have to worry about that.
There's a lot of manure.
Yep, fitting a 10-foot high door under a 10-foot truss and keeping the clearance may be challenging. Well, these were actually drawn for me, Mo. These come from the factory, the ones that I've been working with. And so this is their drawing, not mine.
The doors on the sides are 8 feet tall.
The door on the sides are 8 feet. The doors on the gable are 10 feet tall. Yep. Hardway Alaska says half concrete, half dirt. And Jane says we used to have cows and I would go with concrete floors. Matt says we used rubber mats because several hundred head of cattle make a slippery mess on concrete. Yeah. See here, Just a Few Acres had a great YouTube channel. He has many videos on his cow barn setup. His barn is simple, effective, and easy to clean out. Thanks for that.
I think that's the one you were talking about.
There were some beautiful barns. Don't forget the dog washing station with its dedicated water heater and a large bay window for the dog to look out while being groomed. Yeah, no, Jen. No.
Maybe.
Pops used a skid steer to pull the old bedding out and then load it into the manure spreader so we could spread it on the fields. Yeah, see, this is more what I'm talking about right here. Is just trying to make it where I'm using less and less of my own energy capital to do it.
That's what your dad did.
Yeah. A lot of horses get rubber mat padding to lay on, big, thick, custom barrier, easy to clean. That's the way Dad did it. Again, I don't know how that applies directly to, to cows versus horses, but I grew up on a horse ranch, and so I'm super accustomed to how he took care of them. But again, in fairness, he
didn't always have it like that, right? What did he have before that? When you were at home, when you
Same
lived,
thing.
He's always had concrete floors with rubber mats.
Oh yeah. Well,
because he did horses for your whole life.
My whole life. The show horses he did, but we got to understand, babe. We had a 50 stall indoor horse barn. All that was climate controlled. All that was squared away. But then he would have 30 or 40 outdoor stalls that would have, their own little barn and then a little run. Those were all dirt floors. And then he had pasture horses, which would have a lean-to out in the pasture, and horses, yes. Mamas who were, pregnant eating and, things like that.
So what determined which horse got, which?
My dad, his arbitrary decision on which one was going to could sell for a whole bunch of money and show and whatever. I mean, it was, the prime ones got the barn.
I didn't know if the pregnant ones went to the field for the hay and the show ones were, I didn't know what they did.
Rear Your Own Queen Bees, great book. The Hopkins Method for Raising Queens in Your Small Apiary. I hope I didn't miss it. Frank, you sell your honey? I might have missed it. Sorry. Sometimes the comments go by fast. I try to keep up with them, but sometimes they just, kind of blow on by. There you go. Jules says there's the YouTube channel, Just a Few Acres. Thanks, Jules, and thanks. Indiana. Prep Rebel says, one word of advice, cows have cloven hooves and horses have hooves, totally different vet issues to deal with. Yeah, I need to learn more about that. I don't know anything about that.
I don't either.
Oh, look at that. There's Indiana Mike's YouTube channel. Yep, right there.
Get some good tips in there.
Yep. Super cool. We want to talk about tornadoes?
Mm.
Yeah, we've been at an hour 14 minutes, and I haven't gotten to hardly any slides yet.
Okay.
And I got like 54
Slide away, man.
slides in my deck tonight.
How many? 100?
No, like 54.
Woo.
But anyway, I was doing some. You guys know that we've had super crazy weather lately here, and it's been weird. It's been different than any other year that I've been here. We've had more tornadoes on the ground in Kansas this year than I'll bet you the last 10 years combined. We've had a lot. I mean, we have had a lot. And so I started thinking, you know, they used to say that Tornado Alley was, you know, Oklahoma and Kansas, you know, and that was kind of pretty much it, Texas. But I've always said that I thought Tornado Alley would move because it seems like it happens all more in Missouri and, you know, Tennessee and Kentucky and, you know, Indiana and Ohio and those areas over there. So I started doing some research. I thought you guys would find this interesting. So the first picture is the historic Tornado Alley, which again is Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and this says Nebraska, and then curving up into Iowa. And lower Minnesota. The second picture is the severity of the tornadoes. So the darker the color square, the more severe it was. So really it was mostly Texas and Oklahoma, just a little bit of severe stuff into Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa. And then the third picture is over the last decade where the tornadoes have been and in what counties.
So they're all to the east.
It's all moving more and more to the east. And I combined those two maps to see, you know, how it had moved and if it had moved. And so I thought this was
wow,
was, you know, pretty cool.
And it's going more north even.
Yeah. And well, and getting in a broader range too. It's not so isolated in such a small area.
So it's no longer an alley.
It's kind of like no longer an alley. Yeah. Moneyworks said their cloud seeding's creating the tornadoes. Yeah, I would not doubt that a bit, Hartley. Right. I would not doubt that in the least. That wind on Saturday was blowing rigs over along I-70 in the Flint Hills. I'm glad my car broke down on my way to my truck and gave me something to do. Yep. Tulip says, in the end, poop is poop. Big animals equals big poop. A concrete slab can always get clean. Dirt, not so much.
Yep. Big poop.
Kelly says there's also a tornado alley in South Carolina, which I actually live in. So we get tornadoes and hurricanes. Yeah, when I was getting ready to do the live tonight, they have a big one on the ground in Texas. A big one.
So she gets tornadoes and hurricanes.
Yeah. This is, we were talking about,
smokes.
Yeah, this is the weather being weird. So if you look at the top picture on the left, this is the actual tornado that touched down in Westmoreland. So if you guys want to see a crazy tornado, Google Westmoreland, Kansas tornado. You'll see a bunch of stuff that'll pop up. This was a weird looking tornado, and it was in daylight. You could see it really, really well, and they did a lot of really good footage on it. But this is max velocity following that Westmoreland tornado. So guys, this is 5 miles, maybe more than 5, 10 miles north of my house, this actual tornado. And if you look, the next picture, so it would be the one in the right-hand corner, you can actually see the actual storm and a little hook on the bottom of that storm. That was the tornado that went up and went through Westmoreland right there. So I live, if you see that little dot where it says Holton, I live south of there. So it was north of us. In the bottom left, you'll see that 4.5-inch hail. Look at those hail balls in his hands.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Is that KS Kansas 23?
Yeah. That was on Kansas Highway 23 out in Gove County, which would be out western more. Recorded 4.5-inch hail. That's a big one. The other thing I found fascinating, this wasn't Kansas, this was actually in Oklahoma, but they found a tornado that went through Oklahoma on 430 that was registered up 18,000 feet.
Like long?
They were getting the rotation 18,000 feet in the air.
Oh my gosh.
Way up there. Super crazy. Yeah, Frank B said we had more than 19 tornadoes last Friday.
That's one day.
Yeah. Mo wonders if other heavy weather types moving like this, also hail, straight line winds, ice, and storm. You know, Mo, you and I have talked about this a little bit, and I think we should be building everything tougher. We should be assuming that the weather is, we're going to have more and more severes of everything. So your roof load, let's say your code requires 30 pounds, build it to 50, right? Whatever. Just, I would step up every type of construction.
Including winds, because those are horrendous from time to time.
Kerry Davis says, as a retired Allstate agent, I can't imagine what the rates are going to look like in the near future. Yeah, I mean, this is a good reason to get out of debt, right? We carry homeowners insurance, but because I own everything at any point in time, I could just tell them no, right? But then you're self-insuring. But Banquet says a 4-month-old baby in Holdenville that was killed was found in its car seat in a tree. Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Last hailstorm I went through was softball size. We were holding mattresses against the windows. And none of that sounds fun. LJC says, I want to build more underground, but not sure how to do that on our land. Oh, you can do it. It's just money, right? You can absolutely do it. But again, it's just money. Thought you guys would find that pretty interesting. Let me see here. Next thing I wanted to share with you guys. This was my thumbnail that I used for this live, and I just ran across this and I found it interesting. So someone's going around spraying foam in parking meters.
Why?
Yep, and it says parking tickets are war tactic. They left a little sign there. I wonder if I could get that bigger, if I could zoom in on that. I'm not sure how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Let me see here. Maybe. See if you can see that a little better. Anyway, it says
the state.
It's talking about the state wants to attack the working class from Oklahoma to Ethiopia. We will fight back. Which is just crazy to me. But anyway, I thought you guys might find that interesting.
Where's that? Where do you know where that came from?
It was a picture in California that I just stumbled across. I'm always looking for interesting pictures, and I save them.
Yeah.
To use them as thumbs and stuff like that. Hey Ed, how are you? It says maybe grate drains like a trough you could pull through the grates for easy clean out. Just an idea. But I'm a suburbanite. Actually, that's a fabulous idea. The last auction we went at, I tried to buy a bunch of those big drain, right? The big grates.
Well, you have those. Like I
have those as well.
I don't know if cows can walk on that.
I don't know if they will either. I've got some rails, Ed, that go on the top of box cars. You know what you would walk on? I got a whole stack of them out there. And I wouldn't need very many of them, but I wonder if I don't know if they would support the weight or not. I'm not sure.
The weight and they kind of have like pokey things up, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like they have.
Well, you can turn the pokey things up or down.
Oh.
So we'll have to go out there and look at that. RN says tag, nothing will withstand an F5 tornado except maybe a storm shelter. Then only if properly constructed and situated. Well, yeah, if you get hit with an F5 directly, it's not going to withstand it. But if an F5 goes by a half a mile from me and I have sustained winds of 150 miles an hour, I can build that. Right. And we've had 100-mile-an-hour straight line winds where I live here and with no damage. So, but what I'm saying, we can build to that. City Green says a parking meter is just another tax. I agree. Prep Rebel says I have a link to a channel that builds underground bunkers, but it may give you an idea on cost. Yeah, wonderful. I wonder if it could be done to gas pumps and electric charging stations. I'm sure it could be. Right? Not that I would condone this in any way. But a little bit in the credit card reader certainly would make it pretty hard to put a credit card in there, right?
Yeah, but it's how you're going to get gas if you
Prep Rebels
have to have the gas.
Says I was 10 miles from an F5 tornado and it was absolutely scary.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me see here. I've been thinking about building a storm shelter. I wonder how much it will cost me. Yep. Is anybody out there that's built any that could share some of their costs?
On a storm shelter?
Yep. So let's move on, guys. Again, remember, I'm not doing a live this coming Friday. We'll be doing it Saturday at 3 p.m. from the Midwest Preparedness Project. There'll be lots of classes, lots of stuff going on out there. I'd love to see as many of you out there as we could get out there. We will do the Freedom Panel at it's 3 p.m. on Friday the 10th, and then we will go live at 3 p.m. from the main stage on Saturday. Let's see here. Last one. So we're in the beginning stages of a pole shift. Things will get much worse in most places. This I agree with. It seems like there's a lot of evidence to support that. Last warning. Frank says buy a sawmill like I did and then build your own anything. Yeah, we've got a sawmill, and I use it for some things. I don't typically cut 2x4s out of it and stuff like that, but maybe someday it'd be nice to be able to, right? Mark Doak, how are you? This is Starla. Sorry I'm late, but phone went haywire. Hey, Starla, how are you? I hope all is well. I've seen some built on screw tube. Don't know the cost, though. They're talking to each other. Sorry. So Frank B says, yep. Does that mean you sell your honey? I think that's what that means. I hope that's what that means. Hey, Frank, I'm going to get one of the mods to put my email address here in the comment section. And if you do, feel free to reach out to me and let me know that you're selling it. I have a fair amount of connections around there and a lot of other places. And we'd love to help, support the community. Yeah. He says he's got a Timber King 2000 there. Oh, there you go. Yep. There's my email address right there. If anybody wants to contact me. I respond to 100% of emails, or certainly try to. Sometimes it takes me a few days because I get busy, but anyway, there's my email address. I wonder what my next slide is. Let me see here. The next 3 days will be interesting as to the solar storms coming from the sun. Just saying. Yeah, we're supposed to have a pretty heavy year for that. So I would really,
storms.
Yep, I would really, really encourage people to get surge suppression on everything. You guys know that I have a lot to do with the EMP Shield, but whether it's EMP Shield or any of the rest of them, Siemens makes one, Eaton makes one. But I would absolutely urge people to get some of that, because that energy coming through is a real deal, and it will cause real problems. That's where the 33rd parallel comes into play. Weather will be really bad between the 33rd and the 45th. Yep, and I think we're at the 39th. At least that's what they're telling me. P.S. wasn't condoning messing with stuff, just saying these folks could cause chaos this way. Oh, for sure. Yep, for sure. All right, what do we got next here? Oh, yeah, this was interesting to me. So I'm going to read the middle one first because I think it's interesting. But Nick Hudson eloquently summarizes the parallels between the COVID scam and the climate change. The general rule of thumb that I believe everyone should adopt is that if any problem is being presented as a global crisis, then it's a scam. And the pattern that we are confronting is really the fabrication of a global crisis. The presentation neither of non-existent problems or small local problems as being general global crisis. That fabrication followed by the assertion that only solutions that are permissible are global ones that require a global authority, global control. That is the general pattern that we are up against. The COVID policy response was one of those, and the climate change crisis is another example. The reason I brought this up, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's a pandemic treaty being worked on and trying to be signed by the world governments that would pretty much give over your health rights to the World Health Organization. So the World Health Organization would kind of manage it in every country, and it kind of be unified. And Dr. Pat Lindley posted that the Netherlands have voted to postpone their vote on the pandemic treaty, and says that it's a great development. The Netherlands must ask the World Health Organization for a postponement on voting on a new pandemic treaty. A majority of the House of Representatives believes that the treaty is being rushed through too quickly. Never heard that before, right? While it has far-reaching consequences, more time is needed to consider and test it, says Mona, I'm not going to pronounce her name, who tabled the motion together. There is sufficient opportunity to examine the changes and their important legal, health, economic, financial, and human rights implications. So I think this is really, really good that countries are starting to push back. And it's amazing to me that we're not getting more pushback, considering all of the news that's coming out, all the stories that are coming out, in reference to the pandemic and what happened, and those kind of things. We see here, Banquet of Consequences, says David Dubin on his channel, Adapt 2030. He's also great information. October of this will be difficult. Well, there's a whole lot going to be difficult. We got an election going on there. We've got there's economics, which I'm going to talk a lot about tonight. If we get time and I'm still on here, I'm going to spend most of my slides talking about economics, and I pulled a whole bunch of great information for you guys. All right. I thought I would share this with you guys because I thought this was just I don't know if I'm not going to be able to read it.
It is very blurry.
It is very blurry. Anyway, basically I'll summarize it for you. So this was a really cool article about a young lady who was writing to the local newspaper. This was in California, was talking about how you don't know what it's like to live with being vaxxed. And so what they're talking about is all of the stuff that's coming out about it can cause this damage and people dying and, the heart stuff and all of this stuff. And she basically goes on to tell this tale that, that every day it's building anxiety because she just doesn't know what's next, et cetera, et cetera. And the only reason I even put this in here, guys, is to just make sure I stressed, and you guys have heard me say this many, many times to you guys, that everybody's in a different place in their journey. And when there's people like this out there who are becoming awake to the things that are going on, if we ridicule them, we're going to turn them away from the truth. Never forget that everybody's at a different place in their journey, and it's our job to build them up. And it's our job to say, hey, it's okay. There was a time in my life where I was wrapped up into the system and believed in all of it. There was a time in my life I was a staunch Republican and even helped get governors here locally elected and those kind of things. And there was a time I was there. And so I think what we need to do as leaders of the community is just be supportive and help try to bring that bottom up. And so let's try really, really hard not to criticize and not call names. Let's don't call people sheep. Let's not do those kinds of things. Let's try to bring them up, because together is where we fix all of this thing. As long as they continue to keep us divided, we're never going to fix anything. And so I just wanted to share this article. I wish I could read it when I put the slides together, but obviously it was a much bigger,
Well, can't you make it bigger or not once?
I can't. Once it's on here, I can't. I mean, I can go like that, right?
Oh, that's not any better.
But that's not really any better, But since we're talking about the whole thing, I thought I'd also share some interesting coincidences with you guys. So if you guys look at the pictures on the left, so Scott Gottlieb on the left, so he was the former director or the FDA commissioner in charge of Pfizer. And I think it's ironic that today he serves on the board of Pfizer. And Scott Ham at the time of the Stephen Hand at the time of the COVID vaccine, he was the FDA commissioner in charge of regulating Moderna. And it's ironic that he now sits on the board of Moderna, as James C. Smith, who was the CEO of Reuters in charge of informing people about the COVID-19 vaccines, is now on the board of Pfizer. And then, of course, the famous Anthony Fauci, he was the NIAID director under the National Institute of Health, and then, goes on to be in charge of the gain of research and coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And I think this is just a great slide of how it really works and how the system really works. It's all kind of pay to play. And if you didn't know, Bill Gates recently funded research into genetically engineered cattle ticks. And now there's reports over the last year of 450,000 Americans having red meat allergies. And so they're wondering if there's a connection. Now, this one's a little out there. Now, someone may tell me that it's not out there, but I think it's maybe a little out there. But what they're talking about is in these clots that with COVID that was going on, that they have graphene conduction self-assembled from the COVID-19 shots. These are these embalmer clots you guys have heard a lot about. There's people now claiming that they're actually some antenna stuff with them, and they're, what do they use the word, conductive. Again, I thought it was a little bit out there, but I thought it was pretty interesting. Silver Lining said it perfectly. She said, "Yep, follow the money." And I don't know a better way to do it than to just keep posting about it, right? Let me see here. I met a lady at the hardware store that lost her husband to pancreatic cancer, had the jabs. That's the fifth person for us personally. So sad. Yeah, so crazy. What else we got here? Don't forget about the bird flu. And I actually pulled this one up on purpose because I found a very interesting sentence in here. And so the Daily Mail reported, so did CBS reported, that America's top bird flu expert reveals why she's worried. She goes on to talk about it's, it could be serious, blah, blah, blah. Then she tries to calm me down. That's not why I put this up here. What I wanted to put up was the last sentence in her statement, which I thought was so powerful. She said, she also warned officials were having trouble tracking infections because many farmers were not coming forward to get tested. And so to me,
but the actual farmers are needing.
Yeah, that the farmers are hiding when their animals are sick. And so to me, what this does is this lays in the groundwork for, we have to have rules. Right. We have to have regulation
because there's bird flu in the milk.
Right. And then they were talking about chipping all the cows and right. I mean, you guys got to put all these little pieces together.
Yep. That's next.
Yep. Hey, All American Preppers in the house. Hey, there's another channel you guys should go check out. How are you, my friend?
I'm going to turn the light on.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you, baby.
One?
Nope.
That's the fan.
Sorry, there you go. Oh.
That's bright.
Yep, we're all bright. All right, I'm going to keep going on these slides because if not, I'm never going to get through them. This was a really interesting one. There's a lot of distractions going on, and I know you guys know this, right? We hear about it in the news. And so I want to talk about some of those distractions, and then I'm going to talk about why they're distracting us. So moments ago, Zionists threw a backpack full of mice into the UCLA encampment. So you guys know there's all these protests going on. I don't know if you guys seen this. And actually, Mo Engineer is the one that sent me this for us to look at. that the mice appeared to have been injected with something. School administration are not protecting the students. So on April 29th, 2024, students part of the encampment protest at UCLA were allegedly thrown what seemed to be mice by the opposing side. Many of the mice appeared to have spots on their back and were seen running out of the backpack soon after the bag was thrown. Many believe the spots were injections and believed to be stolen laboratory mice. Protests have been occurring in college campuses nationwide as tensions continue to rise in Palestine. Many students stand in solidarity with the people of Gaza and have been protesting in front of their respective schools, calling a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Protests started at Columbia University in New York on April 17th, with other schools following suit, including some college campuses in California, such as the University of California at Riverside. But what I think what's interesting about this is what a great way to spread something, right? Throw a bag of mice, I think. But again, I think it also could be just as easy as, scared tactics. I know that, Eagle Lover Texas talks about they were paid protesters. I mean, there's some proof now that some of them were paid $7,000 is what I read. Let me see here. Mike says Lone Star tick meat allergy is the real deal. I don't know anything about it.
I'd never even heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah, paid by George Soros, which, by the way, I don't totally want to derail what I'm talking about, but did you guys know that Anthony Blinken, who is our Secretary of State, who travels all over, who's in charge of negotiating with Ukraine, with China, with Russia, with all of them, his dad was real good friends with George Soros, and George Soros actually named a building that he built after Blinken's dad. I don't know if you guys knew that. They're saying now that over 2,000 protesters have been arrested throughout these college campuses. And I wanted to share the picture on the right with you guys. That's a statue of George Washington.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so you see how they put the shabab on his head and the flag and all this. But this is one of our beloved, founding fathers statue outside of a university. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Again, I think I would go so far as to say, why would they be paying them, right? Because, well, I think it's just, again, another distraction. Our schools today, I love this little clip that talks about how when they go into the school, see how the first kids are wearing an American flag, and by the time he comes out, he's totally changed. And we do this. I mean, we send our kids to these schools, and we pay for this, and we allow this stuff to take over, and then we wonder why. Why does it happen?
Why we're where we're at?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, though, what do you do about it? It starts long before college, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it starts early in our schools.
Yeah.
I can give you guys
the
some.
Bell ringing.
Yeah. Did you guys know that on average we spend $15,424 per child per year in public schools? Okay, so think about that money. If you had 10 kids and each got $15,000, that's $150,000. You could pay a teacher $100,000 and still have $54,000 left over to buy school lunches, books, curriculum stuff, and to be able to teach schools.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of teachers out there, and I know there's some in the audience tonight. Would you take on 10 kids for $100,000 a year and then have a $54,000 budget to provide the things that you needed to provide for school? That doesn't sound like a bad deal to me. What do you think, babe?
Yeah. We've talked about co-ops and private teaching and
yeah. Prepper Black said that's a bunch of cash. Yeah, $15,000 per student. So now imagine if you hired two teachers at $100,000 a piece, and you had 20 kids in a school, right? So they each get $100,000 a piece, and now there's $100,000 in the budget for curriculum.
Right.
That's plenty of money for books and arts and crafts and lunches and. And I bet we'd end up with a much, much, much better education.
Well, probably them to be able to take care of themselves when they got out of school instead of just like, I'm living in my mom's basement, don't know what to do with my life.
Yeah. I'm sure that the teaching would be much better. I'm sure it would be too. Yeah. I think that is the method that people need to go down, right? We need to figure out how to get to it. The problem is the system won't allow us to do this because we're already paying the $15,000 in tax dollars. So now you'd have to double it. Yeah. Right.
Because they're not going to not make you pay that to have your kid in a co-op somewhere.
Yep. The professors are part of the problem. And some of them were protesting. And I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff, people there we weren't even aware of. All right, let's get trucking. This was super extra. I know you guys will be super excited. And I know that you guys like it when I share good news. So I thought I'd share some really good news with you guys.
You and your good news.
I know, right? So the IRS says its number of audits is about to surge. Here's who the agency is targeting. The IRS says it's about to ramp up audits as it cracks down on tax cheats and seeks to deliver more revenue into the U.S. Treasury coffers. But not every group of taxpayers will face more scrutiny, according to the IRS commissioner. The IRS has been bolstered by $80 billion of new funding directed by the Inflation Reduction Act. So if you guys don't know this, in 2022, Biden passed the IRA, which I think it's funny they worded it IRA, because an IRA is an individual retirement account. But anyway, the Inflation Reduction Act included $80 billion in funding for the IRS. That's
a lot of money.
Right? The idea behind the new funding was to help revive agencies whose ranks had been depleted over the years, leading to customer service snarls, processing delays, and a fall off of auditing rates. On Thursday, the IRS outlined its plans for the funding, as well as its effort so far to burnish the agency's customer service operations after some taxpayers encountered months-long delays during the pandemic. There is no new wave of audits coming for middle and low-income individuals we're not coming from moms and pops, says the director. But by focusing on big corporations, complicated partnerships, and wealthy people, and listen to this, who earn over $10 million a year, the IRS wants to send a signal. This is how they always sell it, right? We're going to tax the rich. It's not going to hurt, the little guy. It's how they sell everything.
We've heard that a lot.
I've
heard that my whole life.
Yep.
Tax the rich.
Yep. The agency has also outlined its efforts to bolster hiring thanks to the new IRA money, which again is the Inflation Reduction Act, right? The IRS employed more than 100,000 people in the mid-90s, but its workforce had dwindled to just 73,000 people, right? In a wave of retirements and prior funding cuts. He noted that IRS strategy plan for the next 3 tax years include sharp increases in audits, although the agency reiterated, so they're going to say it again, you guys, so listen carefully, right? They reiterated it won't boost its enforcement for people who earn less than $400,000 annually. Does that not sound weird to you?
That's a lot of money annually.
But wait a second, didn't they just say earlier in the article, by focusing on big corporations and complicated partnerships and wealthy people who earn over $10 million a year? And then just 3 paragraphs later, they say that they wanted to reiterate that they want to boost enforcement for people they won't affect people who earn less than 400,000.
Yeah.
They can't even get the right number in the same article.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That's not crazy.
No, that's cool. Dana says it just paused when you got into the IRS. Yep. It is called doublespeak. I just think it's absolutely insane how in the same article, guys, I pulled this all out of the exact same article. They give me 2 totally different numbers. Crazy, huh? But I knew you guys would like some good news. Janet Yellen said, and I think this might be the biggest quote of the year for those of you who know what it means, right? It says, we should expect over time a gradually increased share of other assets in reserve holdings of countries. We talked earlier about the protests and all of the things going on. And in my opinion, it's just a distraction for the real things that are going on, which is the economics. In my opinion, the economics are why we're in the Ukraine. The economics are why Israel's going on. The economics are why most of this stuff goes on. And America's on the verge of losing its reserve currency holdings. This is what she's talking about. She's saying that she would expect over time a gradual increase in other reserve currencies, right? So she's signaling, in my opinion, right here, she's signaling that she believes it's headed that way. So I thought for the rest of tonight, if you guys would allow me to do it, that I would kind of go through the economics of our country and see if we can make some sense and see if there's any correlation between what we're experiencing today and maybe the Great Recession of 2008 or even the Great Depression, right, of 29 and 30. And so I pulled a whole bunch of graphs for you guys, and I thought you'd find this interesting. So the first 2, what I want to talk to you guys about, which is the M2 money supply. And so basically this is just how much money is out there. So if you look at this graph, what it talks about is, back at about 1970 to today, and you can see the money supply slowly grew until Monday, December 9th, 2019. And I think this is an important date because what was going on Monday, December 9th of 2019?
That was the start of COVID, wasn't it?
Well, they were just starting to warn about COVID.
Yeah.
But why did they start immediately dumping money into the system? Because COVID really didn't get going until later on in 2020. But either way, Monday, December 9th, 2019, there was $15 trillion in service. So that's how much money was out there in US dollars. Okay. And so by 2024, that number now sits at $20.7 trillion. And so this is the amount of money that's out there. And just you guys remember this as we're going through this. Okay. So the amount of money that exists, according to them, is 20 trillion. But don't forget, okay, we're $34 trillion in debt.
Sheesh.
So if the total amount of money out there is 20 trillion and we're $34 trillion in debt, which means we owe more money than more dollars than what exists. Make sense? But I'm going to tell you guys why they'll never fix this economically, which is really what I'm going to get to. Right. So $34 trillion of debt equates, as it says right here, to $103,000 per citizen or $266,000 per taxpayer. So what that means is 38% of the population pays taxes. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 38% of the population is on the hook for $34 trillion when there's only $20 trillion out there. You guys tracking so far? Okay. I'm going to build this story for you. Try to. So let's look at non-housing debt. Okay. So we talked about how the government's 34 trillion and any day now will be $35 trillion in debt, but that's only the government. And that's only one part of the government. So when you're talking about household debt, if you combine the debts that they manage, that they measure, which would be student loans, credit cards, auto loans, etc., that adds another $5 trillion to the debt. Follow me? So 35 plus 5 is what? 40. You have $40 trillion of debt if you add non-housing debt to that. Okay, so that's add housing debt to it. So now you talk about the amount of the money that people owe, and housing debt adds another $12 trillion to that number. Okay, so we tracking? Okay, so let's talk about housing real quick. So I pulled this ad up. This is from Glendale, Arizona. Glendale, Arizona, and this is rent. So you can rent a 1,696 foot square house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $2,000 in a decent neighborhood in there. So this is why the housing market's about to crash. And I'm going to show you guys why. Okay. So let's say we wanted to buy it instead. So you could buy this same house. This house actually comes from the same neighborhood for $450,000. Okay. See the payment down here, how they estimated it to be about $2,600. Let's keep going. So let's say I wanted to invest and I wanted to buy this house. I bought it for $450,000. My annual rent brought me $24,000 in. I did my upkeep, my maintenance, my insurance, all of those kinds of things. Okay. I financed it. I purchased it for $450,000. I put 20% down, which means my loan amount was $360,000 with a 6.9% interest rate. My monthly payment's $2,371, which means annually I pay $28,000. So why would I pay $28,000 for an investment that's going to bring me $24,000 in, which means I'm losing $12,000 a year? That makes sense?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at the same performer at $250,000. Now you guys know that they purposely inflate the value of a home so they can collect more tax dollars.
Yeah.
So just a few years ago in 2020, this would have been a $250,000 house, which made it worthwhile, right? Because you had $24,000 of income with $15,000 going out. It made it worthwhile investment. Tracking? Okay. So back to the debt. So we know that we owe $35 trillion here, $5 trillion here, and $14 trillion here, but there's also $65 trillion in hidden debt. Now, this is debt to overseas. This is debt in other places that the country owns. So basically, if you add all of that up, you guys, it makes that we're $116 trillion in debt. Okay, now don't forget, all the money that exists is $20 trillion according to their number. Okay, but the amount of debt is $116 trillion. But wait, what this isn't calculating is what's called an unfunded liability. So an unfunded liability is a promise to pay you Social Security, for example.
Yep.
Okay, but commitments. So I don't understand how an unfunded liability is anything different than debt, personally. I think that's new speak. But basically, we have $215 trillion in unfunded liabilities, which means in my book, we're $331 trillion in debt. Okay, now remember, there's $20 trillion that exists.
Available.
Okay, so I thought I would help you guys, for those of you who struggle, including me, understanding what $1 trillion is. Okay, so you look at that first pile of money up there on the left, that is $1 million in $100 bills. The next one over with the little person standing there, you can see the little pile of 1 million in front of it, but on those pallets is $1 billion. If you look at the semi truck down there, that is $1 trillion in $100 bills. Okay. If you look what $15 trillion is, it's stacked right there next to the Twin Towers.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. In $100 bills. Okay. But remember 300, that's 15 trillion. You want to see what $331 trillion looks like? That's those stacks right there that we were talking about next to them. That's the amount of debt that's out there. And when $20 trillion of money exists, now you tell me how in the world our government's ever going to get out of it. Now, don't forget, there's $20 trillion in existence. So you might ask yourself, well, I don't understand. How is there $20 trillion in existence? How can that work?
How can we owe so much?
Yeah.
How can we play with so much?
Right. Any idea how that is?
It's all digital. It's all.
It's the banking cartel. Let me explain to you guys how it works. So check this out. So, and you guys, I've done videos on this. So you guys should, if you're not familiar, you need to familiarize yourself with how it works. If I deposit $1,000 in the bank, okay, the bank then, because they have a 10% reserve, keeps $100 and they loan out 900. That person then takes it to the bank and the bank loans out 810. The 810 goes in the bank loans out 729. The 729 goes in the bank loans out 656. The 656 goes in the bank loans out 590. The 590 goes out the 531. Then the bank loans out 531. The 531 gets deposited. The bank loans out 478, and the 478 is deposited in the bank. So in just those transactions, they've turned $1,000 into $5,700. Okay, but how much money, real money, actually existed in this process? Just the first 1,000.
The first 1,000.
Right, because he brought cash in, which was probably something that came from another transaction behind that. But anyway, so our system has been created with this, right? All right, so our system is what's built this. This is why we can have $331 trillion in unfunded liabilities and debt, and yet only $20 trillion exists. Is because of how they make money up like this.
Yeah, they're making it up.
Well, yeah, they're absolutely making it up. So this is a very mild case based on $1,000, but there's $5,700 that is on a balance sheet as an asset when only $1,000 really existed.
Right.
That make sense?
Yeah. And of course, they're the only ones that can do this.
Well, of course. This is why the Federal Reserve is so important. So the Federal Reserve was really put in place as a safeguard against the Great Depression. Because back when the Great Depression happened, we didn't have the Federal Reserve. And so the Federal Reserve is what's supposed to stop these things from happening. Okay. But it can install things and it can do things to prolong, to prevent, and those kind of things. But this is what it's all predicated on. And so our entire system is built up on debt and continued growth. That's what it is. As soon as you stop the continued growth, that's all she wrote. So let's look at the next one. I'm going to try to hustle here for you guys. Okay. This is the velocity of money. Okay. And this is the M2 money supply, but this is how fast it's trading. Okay. And if you look, this comes back to all the way to 1960. So this is how much money is moving through the economy, right? And it peaks right there about 1995, and it has steadily decreased. Right. You got this big drop off on how fast money moves around. So why would money not be moving around as fast? Do you have any idea?
Because everybody's at home.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for it. Here, let's compare it to inflation. So inflation peaked in the 70s, right? Remember the oil embargoes of the 70s? You heard stories about that. And then inflation decreased until, look right here.
Which is when?
This is right now, right? That last little bump. So part of the reason, let me go back here. Part of the reason that there's less velocity is there's less borrowing, right? There's not necessarily less borrowing, because there's still lots of borrowing going on, but there's less money moving around. It's not as attractive as it used to be when you could get money at 0%. Right. That make sense? Okay, we'll keep it trucking. So there's several ways we can deal with that. So the first thing is what's called a debt jubilee. I don't know if you guys know what this is. Oh, right here. Look at this. Amy, the 50th year jubilee is all debts are forgiven. Look at that banquet. We were just going to talk about a debt jubilee. So an example of a debt jubilee is what Biden did with the canceling the student loan debt. Right? You can just go through and you can cancel it, so the Fed could forgive the Fed. And it looks to me like this might be the road that they're traveling. And this is the reason why I say this. This is the total balance sheet of the federal government in reference to the debt that they own. So our government owns its own debt. Okay, that would be like your right pocket owing your left pocket money.
Yeah.
Is there really a debt?
No.
Right? But if you look at this going back to 2004, so look, if you look how much they kept on their balance sheet, it was pretty flat Okay. And then what happened in 2008? Look at that gray bar right there.
Yep.
That was the Great Recession.
Crash.
Yep. That was the Great Recession and the housing crash of 2008. And so their holdings grew and grew and grew. And look what happened right there in 2020.
Boing.
Okay. That's COVID. Right. And so look, boom. So it seems to me they're increasing more and more and more
significant
of what they're holding. Does this make sense? So they could do it. So this is really important too. So I don't know if you guys know this. Okay. But so when the Fed loans money, they make a spread, excess interest earnings, right? Then whatever's left over after they pay their bills, so they pay their employees, they pay their expenses, whatever's left over has to be given back to the federal government, okay? And so if you look at this first graph, this is what they're talking about. And if you look at the little ups and downs, it's pretty flat, which means they're making a little bit of money. The Fed's getting a little money back, blah, 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 until what happens in 2023. So what this says is they're operating at a loss, okay? They're not making any money, right? The graph on the right just describes the exact same thing. Like, look at the blue spikes. This is money returning back to the government. Okay, you got a couple little dips that went underneath, but pretty much it's pretty steady until look right there.
And it's like, yeah.
Right. So this is that drop off right there. Make sense?
Yeah.
Tracking? Okay. So remember, she said we could expect over time a gradually increase in share in other assets and reserves holdings of countries, right? And because they know this, babe, they know that this game is getting more and more dangerous all the time, and they're having a harder and harder time putting it aside. And the Fed is struggling more and more to keep it at bay. They know this, and I think the numbers speak for themselves. So the next thing we could deal with, if we don't do the Jubilee, which means they did forgive a bunch of debt, we could go through deflation. I don't know if anybody understands what deflation is, but I'll cover it just so you guys know. So deflation causes the nominal cost of capital, labor, goods, and services through the relative prices. It causes them to fall. Deflation has been popular concern amongst economists for decades. On its face, deflation benefits consumers because they can purchase more goods and services with the same nominal income. So basically what it means is the dollar is gaining in value. Prices are going down. That's what deflation means. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds like a great idea, right? However, not everyone wins from lower prices, right? As economists are often concerned about the consequences of falling prices on various sectors. And the key word to that is various sectors. So imagine being in an economy where lumber prices were down.
Some things are down,
but electronics were up.
Some are up.
So it depends. It's a gamble. Which industry do you happen to work in?
Yeah.
Right? It's basically what they're saying. Especially in financial matters, and in particular, deflation can harm borrowers, right? Because now it costs more money to manage your debt. So anybody that's heavily in debt does not want a deflationary period. They want an inflationary period, right? So basically, with deflation, unemployment, you have high unemployment because prices drop, company profits drop. Debt interest rates tend to go up in periods of deflation, which makes debt more expensive. As I was mentioned, makes it harder to manage. And then you get this spiral domino effect because of the overlapping pieces of deflation, because it doesn't affect every industry exactly the same, right? And this is bad, and it can make a bad situation, right? The other thing is we can go through inflationary, which you guys know we've experienced a lot of this, right? Printing money, raising interest rate bailouts, those kind of things. And so inflation is a measure of how quickly prices are increasing over time. In other words, inflation means how quickly money loses its purchasing power, okay? So inflation really isn't the cost that it costs more to produce a gallon of milk. It's that the dollar buys less milk.
Right.
That's really what it is. I don't know if you guys know this, but there are 8 major groups that make up the CPI. So the Consumer Price Index is what they gauge by inflation. Those are food and beverage, housing, apparel, transportation, education, and communications, other goods and services, recreation, and medical care.
Okay.
Is what goes in. But what's interesting, if you actually look at how they weigh them, food and energy, they don't give any hardly weight to at all. It's very, very small.
Oh, right.
They weight everything else. So really, the majority of the inflation you see today is based on education, transportation, apparel. And recreation and medical. Because again, they weight it super less. So we could go to a deflationary period or an inflationary period, or what I think is most likely is stagflation. You guys heard me talk about this on the last one. And actually, Jen, you've got it exactly right. The road to CBDC is paved. Yes, it is. So stagflation, for those of you guys who don't know, is an economic cycle characterized by slow growth. Do we have slow growth in our country? Yep. High unemployment rate. Not yet, but I'm going to show you a super interesting slide here in just a minute. let me see, unemployment rate, and then accompanied by inflation. So when you have inflation coupled with slow growth and high unemployment, and this is a particular problem because when you try to address one of them, it hurts the other one. Right. So this is actually a really rough one. This is what happened in the 70s with the oil embargoes. Keep all that stuff in mind. So I want to talk about the Great Depression real quick. So if you guys remember in the Roaring 20s, there was a lot that went on. And they refer to it today as the fake abundance, when everything seems to be good, right? Stock market's at an all-time high, right? So in 1929, the Great Depression was preceded by a period of economic boom and a stock market rally known as the Roaring 20s. But it all came crashing down in 1921, leading to a Great Depression and the 1929 stock market crash. The 1929 stock market crash and the Great Depression was not unexpected, as there were numerous indicators. The indicators that they're talking about are right here, guys. Okay, and I'm going to show you comparison to them. So if you look at the bottom, this is from January 1920 through January 1931. This is the bond market. Okay, these are your yields. And so if you look back about 1920, those yields were pretty good, and they just slowly went down until they were kind of towards the bottom. What you have to remember with this graph is there was no Federal Reserve. Because what would typically happen is when it got down here to one of these lower, the feds would step in and you'd see it start going back up, right? Because they're doing bailouts and they're doing these kind of things, right? As orchestrated in this graph right here. So this is January 2008 through January 2024. And this is the same thing as bond yields, down. Look at that gray line. Guess what that is right there? COVID, right? So it gets to the bottom, the Fed steps in. Okay, so I would argue these graphs are fairly similar, with the exception of now you have to calculate the Federal Reserve. So inflation, the United States inflation rate, this is 2014 to 2024. If you look, it stayed at, well, this is their numbers, which nobody can believe their numbers. Right. But the point I want to make is if you will look at over about 2021, their numbers hit 7% and 6.5. It's still elevated today, but this is the outcome of the difference of a Federal Reserve, right? Because the Federal Reserve is here to act. Had this been back in 1929, this would have skyrocketed, right? This is the Fed pressing down on these kind of things, right? But they're sucking at it. And this is why I say, you guys, that we're in trouble and they're kind of getting out. I'm going to show you guys some proof, right? Jules, I know the Fed was started in 1913, but it wasn't used as these things until after the Depression, right? Anyway, so if you look right here, October, right? So here is your inflation each month. You see how it's gaining in each month? Yeah. They're trying to repress it, but the reason why is they haven't raised rates high enough. So you raise rates in the economy to lower inflation, because the more it costs, the less the economy moves. They're trying to slow down the economy, which is why you would raise a rate, but it's not working. I'll give you some more examples. So this is the federal funds effective rate. So these are your interest rates. So if you look back here at 2008, my first blue arrow, see where that is right there? Just a little bit above 5. Okay. So what happened is 2007 came and we had the housing crisis, right? And you could see them just plunging interest rates. This is what I'm talking about, the Fed making changes. They're doing this, right? Because what they're trying to do is stop a crash. And it never recovered. And you see they keep almost zero interest rates all the way down the bottom, right? Until you get to about 2016, they start to climb those interest rates again. And then guess what happens? What's that gray line right there? COVID. Yep. So COVID, then they crash those rates down. They keep it at almost zero. And look what's happened since 2022. And how ironic that we're at that exact same spot we were at prior to 2018. We're pretty close. Is this boring to you?
Yeah, 2000.
She said, yeah. Did you guys hear that?
2008.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a graph on the consumer spending, which is really, really important. So what this tells us is that humans, citizens of the United States are spending more money. So we ought to be okay, right? That means life's good. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's great.
They're spending more, but life is good. Okay, let's dig in a little bit further. So here's your debt balances. Right? If you look back in the first quarter of 2004 and you follow it to, now this only goes to 2023 because that's the only data I could find, but look at the debt go. The debt has doubled. The average household debt has doubled since 2004, the amount of debt people carry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So is it that we have more money, or does it just mean we're borrowing more? See, because if the consumer runs out of the money, the Fed will have no choice but to lower rates. And this is what you guys are looking for. They'll have to lower rates because they'll want to spark economic growth. But if they do that, the inflation will skyrocket. And so they're trying to press it down by raising the rates. But if people are truly running out of money, if that's true, they will be forced to lower them, which again will cause inflation. So I thought I would share this one with you guys. This is the personal saving rates of Americans today. So I want you to look real close at my very first arrow back here right before 2008. See how we had almost no money in savings. You see that? And you can see how it kind of spikes and worked its way around, stayed semi-flat until COVID. Everyone was locked up at home, and what happened? Savings rate skyrocketed, right? Well, they were scared. They didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And you went through some of that, but look at today.
Yeah.
Very similar to what happened just prior to 2008. Right. And this comes off their numbers. I didn't make them up. This is the one I wanted to show you guys about employment, which I find super fascinating. So this is part-time versus full-time employment. And if you guys go all the way back to 1986, so if you look at the dark dots, what that represents is that someone working more than 35 hours a week. The light blue dots represent someone working less than 35 hours a week, okay, in the workforce today. So if you look at the recession in 1991, right after it, you began, right, the numbers crossed, right? You had the part-time going up and you had the full-time coming down, right? And so that stayed that way until the dot-com bubble. And then it did the same thing. And then the Great Recession, it did the same thing. And then here you go, COVID, which was this real interesting spike, but look what it's doing right now. Those numbers are crossing again. Yeah. Right? Right here at the end. So when we talked about how stagflation has high unemployment numbers, they manipulate information so much it's hard to see what the truth is.
Right.
But it looks like to me.
Because that was in 2022. So you got 2 more years beyond that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's already crossed.
Yeah. Yeah, this is exactly right. Preparedness Actual says that it was created in 1913, but the great crash was in 29, but the Fed had nowhere near able to handle these numbers. Yeah, it took a while, right? And right, it's quantitative easing, picking winners and losers, which is dumb, right? Yeah, I know, but he said there was no Federal Reserve. Yeah, I meant not like what we have today, Jules. I stand corrected and you are correct. Okay, so another thing about that happened in 1929 or the lead up to 1929, you remember there was a big bank runs just prior to the stock market collapse. Yep. And so that was another telltale sign we were headed for trouble, is that you're having banking issues, right? Yep. So, you know, this talks about, will the U.S. commercial banking crisis lead to a bank crisis? And so I thought I would look into it and say, here are the 7 largest bank failures of all time in the history, okay? So if you look, what does number 2, 3, and 4 have in common? They were all in 2023, right? Oh, yeah. So First Republic Bank, Silicon Bank, and Signature Bank, and I know you guys remember that, 212 billion, 209 billion, and 110 billion. So 3 of the top 4 largest banks to ever fail have happened recently in 2023, next March. I think it was all March, right? March and May, excuse me.
Like almost a year ago.
Yep. Yep. So we've got the banking collapse, right? That's going on, or that's, you know, certainly struggling. Keep going. So one of the measurements that they use is what's called the CAPE ratio, CAPE. And really all it is, for just in simple forms, is what does the company's stock trade for compared to its income? How much money it makes? Okay. What's that ratio? And so the CAPE ratio of 33 was in September of 1929. So the ratio right before the collapse was a 33. Okay. Make sense so far? Okay. Okay. So if you go down on some of them other ones, the all-time high was 45 at the end of 1999, which was at the top of the dot-com bubble. Above 39 at the end of 2021, which was the COVID stimulus, right? And the sell-off. And guess what it is today? So remember, it was a 33 just prior to the Great Depression, right? The 34.41 as of today, right? Which is pushing that level. Let me see. What does he say here? Prep Rebel says, correct. Please remember, my friend, and you may not know this, but I'm a new U.S. citizen and I'm still learning my history. Oh, congratulations. I did not know that. That's super cool. So anyway, basically what the point that I'm trying to make is there's so many similarities between the 2008 housing crisis and the Great Depression that are going on today. You just have to figure in the Federal Reserve and what it does. And so I can tell you personally, I want nothing to do with the market today. Nothing. I will not put any money in there. I got plenty of other things to do, like build, be a barn. But yeah, Mo, and this is an inside joke. This for these guys who don't know. It's all shit, says Mo. Thanks for putting the numbers together. I like researching stuff like that and trying to figure out, are there similarities or, are there not similarities? But I think what's the scariest thing about all of it, I mean, depression would suck. But there's things we can do to fight the depression, right? Grow your own food, get out of debt, right? There's things that we can do to beat inflation, right? Invest in your assets now, get out of, don't get out of debt, leave your debt there. Because actually debt's not bad for inflation. Deflationary, get out of debt. But there's a lot of things that we can do about there. But just like in the case of the Great Depression, ultimately, what they did for us, to get us all out of that is when all else fails, they take us to war. Right. And this is what happens in World War I. And this is what happens in World War II. And, this is what happens is all of them is, they start screaming the patriotic, let us go forward together, enlist in the military, and they take us to war. And I think all of those signs are out there when you look at what's going on in all of the countries out there. But I think the point that I want to make to all of this, you guys, is that the distractions that are going on are to cover up everything else.
Yeah.
And they're going on behind the scenes. And, I think from an economic perspective, they're panicking and they're beginning to lose control of the system. We've got an election, which is going to be hugely contested, right, coming up in this November. And you've got a lot of buildup to that. You've got the stuff going on in the Ukraine and with Russia and then China and Taiwan. And I promise you, it's all interlinked. The whole thing, I've been saying for a long time, I don't understand why America wants World War III. Well, it's because they can't keep it together. And, they've got to try to figure out, how to keep it together. And I think they're failing miserably. But, I guess only time will tell. LJC says, I went to move money from my money market to checking to pay for our well. It now takes at least a week to move money from my account. It used to be immediate. It's because they ain't got it. Right? They're trying to scramble. Well, B, what happens when you go to pull cash out? You got to sit there and wait.
Yeah.
Right?
And give them reasons why.
And then they want to know why you're doing it. It just drives me crazy, because I want to. They're like, well, we got to put something down.
Right.
We'll put whatever you want to down then, But I have just got a feeling that there's, the options are becoming fewer and fewer and fewer. The good news is there's lots we can do about it, guys. There's absolutely lots we can do about it. Grow your own food. Build your own infrastructure. Don't be dependent on the electrical grid. Don't be dependent on the water grid. Do as much as you can for yourself. And most importantly, yoke up and find community.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Because with it, everything's possible. We showed you guys today the barn. Did you know I'm going to save on my barn? I'm going to save, if this is where it ends, I'm going to save like $12,000 on a barn. But so is the other person involved in the deal. Right? And so I think yoking up with the community is big. Banquet says right here, and this is an important point, the military-industrial complex wants more war. Well, what's interesting, if you've looked at all of the omnibus spending bills and all of the stuff that's come on, all of the, every time you see a bill that offers, $91 billion going to the Ukraine, let me tell you what that really means. What that really means is that's $91 billion back to the United States military-industrial complex to build bombs and artillery shells and tanks and whatever that may or may not, find all of it, its way all the way to the, Ukrainians, so they're building our military at the exact same time. And this is a great way, to be able to allow them to do it, is to scare you to death with World War III and EMP and, COVID and, all of the crazy stories, that we hear.
Yeah. Now you can catch the, flu from your chickens and you can.
Yeah. Hakestraw says invest in your own power with solar first. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think energy is the issue that we will all face, the biggest issue we're going to face coming up. I just doubt in a case where they, are driving around and trying to confiscate stuff and that it's going to be a pay to play game. And if you want this,
they can just turn it off.
That's what I'm saying. You got to eliminate the ability to turn it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's the thing. And that's what it is. It'll be a pressure game. It'll be, well, if you do the right thing, your social credit score will be good enough. You can have this many kilowatt hours this month.
You better get on your energy board.
Get on your energy board, right? Eat that nourishment cube. For those of you guys who have never read the book Agenda 21 by Glenn Beck, that's what she's referring to. And I agree, Gregory, it's nothing more than money laundering. And I often feel like what they're doing is they're funneling money back to build our military and that because they absolutely want World War III. I hope that I'm wrong. Yeah. Anyway, it's been 2 hours and 13 minutes. Let's get out of here. What do you You got anything else to say after all this good news?
No, none of that was good news. I mean, it's good to see kind of what's going on, because you're not going to get that on, Fox News. So you got to really dig and figure out all of the slides. You got to figure out, put all the pieces together to go, wait a minute, this isn't making sense. This isn't making sense. Oh, you put them all together and go, hey, here's the picture. It's like a movie. You can see it go, and history repeats itself. So, yeah, I think what you said, grow your own food, do what you can, yoke up. Many hands make light work.
Yeah, and I think
community gardens and seed saving, and none of us can do it all at one time. So you make your list, cross off the things that you can accomplish, go for the things that you can accomplish, shoebox money away to buy the bigger things, quit doing the Starbucks, try to, it's just one coffee. Oh, it's just one this or that, or, oh, it's just $5. You take all those $5 and you add them up, and then you can have a cow.
$25. Right. I think what I'd like to leave you guys with tonight is, and someone, I don't remember who sent me this quote this week, and I won't be able to quote it exactly, but basically I think to sum it all up is just to say, I don't think you give yourselves enough credit. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. We are capable of so much. We can absolutely do it. And if I can leave that world to start a farm, you can. And, I think we need to spend more time believing in our ability and trusting that our instincts will get us through, that we don't need them and we don't need all of those things, that we are capable of providing for ourselves. But like I always tell you guys, that, the most important thing to living a life and to trying to find freedom is to being intentional and, to doing it on purpose. And I get up every single day trying to figure out how to be freer, and I do it on purpose every single day. And some days are better than others.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, at the exact same time, you just got to go out there and be intentional. So anyway, guys, don't forget, next week, we'll be live from the Midwest Preparedness Project on Saturday. We do not have a live on Friday. So I will see you guys then. Thanks, everybody.
Hold the line.
Don't give an inch.
Don't give an inch. Be out.
Be once a barn. See you guys.